You are live. You are live. Hello, and welcome to week 16. For everyone who's still in the playoffs, it's all exciting for you, isn't it? For people who aren't in the playoffs, it's not so exciting.
How are you doing, Anth? How many playoffs are you in these days? Since you mentioned it.
No, I do apologise. We've had the last couple of weeks. We seem to have had like a couple of nights out on the weekend, and it's absolutely killed me. I just can't take it no more, Barry. So I'm going to take a leaf out of Mr. Bland's book and start cutting down.
What are you drinking tonight?
Red wine tonight.
Red wine, all right, man.
Yeah. So
It's about the Christmas cutback. A well-known Christmas cutback.
but as soon as Boxing Day has been and gone, I'm going to cut back.
Yeah.
Just at the end of the fantasy season, yeah. Once it's all finished and boxed off and doesn't matter anymore, you're gonna start trying harder.
We're gonna start trying harder, yeah.
Very good.
I was doing the thumbnail for the YouTube, and I was thinking, I can't remember how to fucking do it. But no, here we are. Hopefully, we get some questions in. Got one viewer already, so it's not a bad start. But yeah, please, if I have to interrupt you, I'll just put it in.
You do what you normally do, Anth. You take over when you feel you need to take over, and you sit back when you feel like you need to sit back. Top your red wine up and enjoy yourself.
Yeah. First things first, the weather.
I'll tell you what, we're going all out on this. These pictures for this feature on the weather. We're a weather podcast doing this.
I mean, I could have gone a bit further and put the US behind him, but I couldn't be bothered.
So, hold a bit back for next week, Anth. I always say that. Don't play all your cards a week straight away.
So I've been hearing and reading a little bit that there's a few weather games this week. Is it Browns, Bears, Steelers?
Yeah, the main one is the Cleveland Browns against the Saints. There we're looking at sustained winds over 30 miles an hour and gusts up to 50 miles an hour. So the totals dropped down to 31 points or something like that. So
that's always a good indication, isn't it, when the bookies latch onto it and start moving the line down? That's a sort of indicates how serious they expect it to be.
Yeah. The Steelers game, the sustained winds between 15 and 20 mile an hour, so kind of right on the borderline. But the gusts are getting up to over 35 mile an hour. So it's obviously not ideal conditions, but you might just be able to get away with it there. And then the other one is the Bears game against the Bills, and that's dropping down. It looks like the wind there might be coming a day early. So hopefully that forecast continues to just budge forward a little bit, and then we might actually get some weather for a passing game. What I'm seeing at the minute.
Are all these weathers in a similar sort of area, or are these all that sort of north-central area of the States?
Yeah, well, it's northeast, Michigan, Ohio. Yeah.
Time of the year, it's a pretty regular forecast. And the way we think it plays into fantasy, I guess, is we'll come on to it, but not great for QBs and receivers, but it gives the running backs more volume, but then, again, less explosive plays because everyone's expecting it.
Exactly, yeah. It just becomes predictable, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. So let's dive down a little bit into the players that are going to be affected by this weather then. Just for anyone, the ease for someone watching it back, they can just pinpoint some players.
Yeah.
So in terms, let's start with the Browns then.
Yeah. The main 3-4 players that are going to be affected by it is obviously Watson, the quarterback, and Njoku, the tight end, and Amari Cooper and Donovan Peoples-Jones. I've got DPJ in a couple of leagues this week, and if the forecast holds, I'll be benching him.
Yeah, he's always one where I think we've had him for a while, haven't we? Probably 6 to 8 weeks. Bigging him up, saying he's getting a good share of targets, some good numbers. He was a little bit a long time without a touchdown, but that's sort of picked up recently. So we've been advocating to get him in your team. However, he's probably not going to be a wide receiver 1 or even 2. He might be a flex, but this is the spot where we're saying that in these conditions he might be one to just flex out, even though we do like him and he's done well for a lot of people.
Yeah. I mean, in a similar spot last week. The weather wasn't anywhere near as bad as what it's going to be this week. But he kind of got by because he scored a touchdown last week. But outside of that, the production wasn't great. Just since Watson's took over, quite predictably, this offense has been a bit stuttery.
I think we had a bit of didn't we?
We did. Yeah, we mentioned it a few weeks ago that it's going to be more next year than this year once the offense gets rolling with Watson under centre.
However, I think in our just general chat when we're watching the games, we've started to see more glimpses out of Watson, more good little nuggets of plays, good throws made, not consistent, still rusty, but it feels like he's not washed, he hasn't lost it, it's still there. No. It's to get that consistency back.
I think what you're looking for there is less bad plays.
Yes. Yeah. He was chucking at the turf a lot, wasn't he, early doors, which is not advisable.
Literally, yes. Yeah, that's literally all he did. His first game back was just chuckle at receivers' feet. Yeah.
It's strange when you think about sort of football or soccer. Players that come back to fitness get a lot of training ground games, behind closed door games to try and get some level of sharpness back. I think in the NFL, especially with his ban, he's not been training. He's not been getting any reps anywhere, and he's really been doing his working out on the field, which is not again great for the team. In the short term. It's going to be more next year with this team, like we spoke about previously. Just need to keep an eye on. We need to keep an eye on Nick Chubb because he definitely didn't practice yet. Yeah, he missed practice again today. He's picked up a foot injury somewhere. Although he says he's going to play, we know how tricky foot injuries can be for running backs, receivers, etc. So even if he does play, and this game is a weather game, it's going to be a lot more running involved. He's banged up. He's definitely not going to see his normal percentage of the carries. This workload's going to have to be split. So that could be I imagine it's going to be Kareem Hunt, but I also wouldn't be surprised if they sprinkled in a bit of D'Ernest Johnson as well, given the amount of projected rushing that will be going on. Even the best I think they can't stay on the field consistently when they're just banging play after play after play. They need to go off for a breather. They need to come back on with that burst. I think if you pull up Hunt,
especially if they're carrying an injury. Yeah, especially if they're carrying an injury as well.
Yeah,
Hunt's done absolutely nothing all season, basically. Even when he's been given opportunities, he's been pretty disappointing, to be honest.
At draft stage, he was always billed as a decent sort of pickup for a backup running back. Gets a reasonable share. He's good when he gets his share, makes usage touches. A bit like the Pollard Zeke situation. He always had opportunity, whereas that hasn't really come to fruition this year, has it?
No, his efficiency's dropped off big time.
And again, there was a lot of talk around the trade deadline, wasn't there, about him getting a move, and I guess he probably wanted to go somewhere and play.
Yeah, well, going into the year there was as well. I think he may have even requested a trade. It was basically, give me a new contract or trade me, and the Browns didn't either.
Yeah. So. Do you expect it to be on a different franchise next year? Yeah, I think he will be. Yeah, I think. D'Ernest Johnson's deputised a few times and looked quite good, hasn't he? Not much recently, but I think was it last season? Did he make 100 yards on his debut or something like that? He had some good games that last season.
Yeah, last year, it may have even been the year before as well. No, he's really explosive, eh? When he's been given his chances. So, when given his chances, he has produced.
One to keep an eye on in deep bench dynasty leagues.
Yeah. I mean, you'd have to be absolutely desperate to start it. Especially if Chubb's active. If Chubb's inactive, then obviously it definitely becomes be more interesting. But if Chubb's active, even if we don't know how much impact that injury is going to have on him, you couldn't possibly.
I think even still, you're risking it playing him if Chubb was out. I don't think you wouldn't try him in, would you, Anth?
No, my question is if Chubb's fit, do you take a chance on Hunt due to the weather as well?
Possibly, yeah. Yeah.
Because I'm guessing ideally you're not going to be playing these wide receivers.
No.
We all know what tight ends like at the minute.
Yeah.
Do you still play Njoku?
If you can find a better option, probably not. But like you said, Titan's a bit of a shit show, so.
You're taking a punt elsewhere, aren't you? Really?
You might be forced into playing him basically just because of what the position is.
Yeah. Are we bothered about anyone at the Saints?
Well, I think this could well be a Taysom Hill game.
I was going to say that's what we need to talk about, isn't it?
If the weather plays out as it is, I mean they've even mentioned it here on Sleeper. I didn't see that. My thinking is, Kamara, he's going to get his share, but he looks bad. He looks really bad, does Kamara.
Is it again? Is he motivated? Do you think, Kamara?
I don't.
I don't believe fundamentally he's turned into a bad player. The person who scores, he's had a few games he scored 3-4 touchdowns in games. I'm not having he just becomes a bad player overnight. I think the team's performing poorly. Changing coaching staff. Who knows what's going on at quarterback? It's an absolute mess. I think he just, when you drop off that 10% as a player like him, you lose it. That edge, and I think personally that's what's happened to him.
Quite possibly, but if that's the case, he's not going to get motivated for a snowy game, is it?
No. I think his feet are up for the year, aren't they? He's taking it easy. Don't get injured and enjoy your holidays. Come back next year and see. Hopefully, the team's in a better position.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's probably going to miss half of next year anyway, isn't he, with his court case and.
Well, he's got some legal issues, hasn't he? So, what's the story with quarterbacking then at the Saints? Have they come out and said Dalton is now being not starting?
Dalton is the starter, isn't he? For better, for worse.
They keep ploughing that field, are they?
Yeah. They're going down with that ship. Olave, he only played 27 snaps last week. Now, for whatever reason, in previous weeks as well, his snap share had dropped as well, and he's been used kind of more in a rotation. Yeah, you see there, under 70% snaps for a lot. No, not 100%. Well, this is the first time he's popped up on the injury report.
He did have a spell out, though. Did he miss a game or two earlier in the season?
That was a concussion, though. So once concussion.
All right, okay. Yeah.
No, that was a concussion. So yeah, it's a bit of a weird one, but as to why they're doing it. Your man is the one.
My man, I was just going to say. Yeah, my man, Rashid Shaheed, three receptions, 95 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely not a Rashid game. He has the highest average depth of target in the league. So, it's about 25 yards his average depth of target. So
the week that I did tip him up was on the back of him. The week that I did tip him up, though, Blandy, was on the back of where he took it out the backfield, dropped the shoulder, put someone on his arms, and ran. So even in a snow weather type game, you can't just keep running out of the shotgun pistol formations. You can get some touches out the backfield. Again, you're not playing him. I'm not saying for it.
Exactly. Yeah,
I would expect him to be involved somewhat, and he's got that explosive turn of foot, hasn't he?
Yeah. It's that's very thin, isn't it? It's only going to be one or two players, isn't it? So yeah.
Juwan Johnson, what about him? Again, the weather's not the ideal situation for him, but he's stepped up over late in a tight end position that, again, we've said is a mess.
Well,
touchdown dependent, obviously, but he's had.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's only Kelsey who scored more touchdowns. Well, no, actually, I think him and Kelsey are tied for touchdowns. But
if you look at that little run there,
he's a part-time player. You know, he's a part-time player who relies on touchdowns. So, it's even in ideal conditions. You know, he's a touchdown or bust tight end.
Yeah, and last week was a good spot for him, wasn't it? Home to the Falcons. They're the games where we played him.
Yeah, he's just running hot on. He's just running hot on touchdown efficiency this year. You know, that'll soon drop off.
Dry up. Yeah.
You know, he might continue this year, but yeah, it'll drop off next year. Same as what happened with Dawson Knox.
So Taysom Hill's the one you're going to take a chance on, then just shoot the weather.
Yeah, Taysom Hill and Kamara. Obviously Taysom Hill's tight end eligible in a lot of leagues. So he could rack up a serious amount of rushing attempts in this game because the only other player they've got who's been active behind Kamara is David Johnson. You know, and he's if I'm saying Kamara's washed, David Johnson's absolutely washed.
Yeah. I mean, the thing you've got with Taysom Hill as well, last week he had two sort of throws out the quarterback position, 80 yards and a touchdown. So you've always got that little element of upside there with you if you're playing as a tight end.
Yeah. That's always been the thesis of the play with Taysom Hill, isn't it? That you're going to get some quarterbacking, but
you get a bit of everything, don't you?
Yeah. I think this could be a rushing game for him.
He's known as the Swiss Army knife, isn't he?
Aye.
So on to the Raiders and Steelers game then, because we'll skip the Bears and Bills. It sounds like it's going to be...
Fingers crossed it might improve.
It's going to be all right, yeah. Raiders and Steelers, any lookouts from that game?
Yeah. I mean, I would say this, but Najee Harris might be a good player this week.
He had a little bit of a game last week, didn't he?
Get a clip.
Well, no, he had an inefficient game last week. He just got quite a bit of volume, didn't he?
I was going to say
carries for 86 yards.
I'm not going to lie and say I watched the game.
That's what saved him. That's what saved him, mate.
But I think the plays that I did see, he did make some reasonably decent plays at probably clutch moments, etc. So maybe there's an element of.
There must have been, if he's only averaging 3.58 yards a carry, there must have been some really bad ones to go with those big ones.
Oh, there was probably lots of running into the line, wasn't it? Lots of running into the line and falling on the floor, I'd imagine.
Quite possibly, but no, he's in a good spot this week. The Vegas is giving up the fifth most fantasy points to running back in the last 5 weeks. Ramondre just went for 173 yards with a gammy ankle last week. I mean,
So if you translate that 173 Ramondre dodgy ankle, I think that means that Anth would probably get 25 yards, wouldn't he?
Yeah, it's a good chance. It's a good chance. But yeah, Najee, he might get over that. He might get over that 3.5 yards a carry this week. So, but yeah, he should be an RB2.
Okay.
Anyone from the Bears?
The Raiders.
We're going to skip the Bills and the Bears, aren't we? Sorry,
yeah. Just the obvious ones, really. Waller, because of the position, came back last week, ran a route on 66% of dropbacks. Expect that all.
Eased him a little bit, didn't it?
Yeah. You can expect that number to. So he only played half the snaps, but he ran a route on 2/3 of the dropbacks. So when it was an obvious passing situation, he was pretty much on the field for them. And obviously his role will ramp up. Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs, you probably don't want to play Mac Hollins, I don't think.
No.
Although the Steelers are susceptible to wide receivers. The one you definitely don't want to play is Hunter Renfrow. There's zero upside there with Renfrow.
It's just good to see him coming back, isn't it, Blandy?
Well, it is for you because you like nothing more than a white slot receiver, don't you?
I think he's got a good skill set. Renfrow. He's a bit underrated. He's not a fashionable player, is he?
No, he's definitely not fashionable. The good thing for him is he got his contract extension prior to this season, so and he earned it prior. He earned it prior to that.
He's got good hands. He doesn't drop the ball much.
Yeah, safe hands, isn't he?
Yeah,
I think even with you going back to the same, let's play the obvious ones. I've got in our FFOP league, I've got the Derek Carr, Devontae Adams stack, and it's been absolutely barren for me for a few weeks, and I'm dumped out the playoffs this week accordingly. So I'm in a little bit of a sulk about that. So
it's the Devontae Adams drop off couldn't come at a worse time, eh?
No.
I saw what did he have last year? He had 28 yards last week. I think scroll up, Anth, because I think he's had a couple of other 3 yards. 36 and 12. So in his last 4 or 5 years with the Packers, he's had one game under 28 yards, and he's had 3 already in one year with the Raiders. They're just like the game plan against the Rams, and I suppose the game plan last week was just a bit strange, isn't it? Running Josh Jacobs for less than 4 yards a carry. It's
madness.
It's not
you've got one of the best receivers in the game. You won't be forcing the ball into his hands, don't you? And he's looked when I have fed him, he's looked every bit the best one of the best receivers in the game. Why would not call plays to him is baffling.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, I mean, you play those 3. Probably don't play Mac Hollins, although I think he had about 171 air yards last week. So
I just wanted to get a little more in about Devontae Adams. That's all.
Yeah, no, that's it.
It's been a bit of free therapy on a Wednesday.
There's nothing worse when you go for the stack and it doesn't pay off. Like,
well, you're dead in the water, aren't you?
Yeah. I mean, I had a couple of best ball teams in the DK Millie Maker that were Carr and Adams stacks that ended up getting knocked out, which was disappointing. But hey ho.
On to the first game of the night. We're going to go for the Jags at the Jets, which I believe is Thursday night football.
Thursday night football. We're here on a Wednesday today, which is a little bit unusual for us. But yeah, I think this again. Looking at this is potentially not necessarily a extreme weather game, but a lot of rain forecast potentially for this game, which again is not great.
Let me just check.
It probably doesn't impact things too much, but I think I've seen a note to say that that it was a very rainy forecast.
Yeah, I will just pull it up now.
But in general, looking at this game, we always say Thursday night games have been pretty below par. This is a tasty matchup, isn't it? These two are both banging the playoff mix. You're getting towards the business end of the season. They're both chasing it somewhat. It's a pivotal game for both team seasons, which should make for a good contest.
At the start of the season, or certainly before the draft, you look at this fixture and thought, fuck's sake.
Rubbish, yeah.
But the way it's turned out, this
will be a good game, I think, to watch. I know the Jets play, a tough, tight game, strong defensive, not massively scoring games. It's not overly exciting, but for a football purist, this is a good game, I think. And having watched Trevor Lawrence a lot over the last few weeks, he's really hit his straps now, isn't he? He's becoming the player that people thought he would be when he went that number one pick.
Yeah, it's been superb. The Jets' best defense in the league, Barry?
Quite possibly. The 49ers give them a run for money. I know the Broncos are a strong defense, but they're not the best defense. These when I think you touched on one of your points on Twitter, Blandy, about what a shutdown corner source is. So they make you play half the field. So that it gives you a great chance to start with, isn't it?
Yeah. I think they are the best defense in the league. The thing with the 49ers, if you can beat their pass rush, you can beat their secondary. Their secondary's quite burnable. Okay. Where the Jets do it the other way around, where their secondary creates pressure up front. With the quarterback obviously having to hold the ball longer, last longer. I do believe the Jets are the best defense in the league. Even on the opposite side to source the corner, who DJ Reed, I think it is. He's played really well this year as well. As a number 2 corner. So it will be a good game. The man you had on your thumbnail there, Anth, was Zay Jones, who had the 3 touchdowns last week. Obviously, very good. But and it's in the last 5 weeks, Zay Jones is the wide receiver 5 overall in fantasy. But those weeks have they've come against the defenses ranked 1st, 3rd, 7th, and 8th in points allowed to wide receivers, and obviously now he's going to see quite a bit of Sauce Gardner or DJ Reed on the other side. And obviously the Jets just spoke about they're very good. They're 31st in points allowed to wide receivers, so the 2nd best in the league behind your Broncos, Barry. I think you can temper your expectations this week for Zay Jones. You're probably starting him because he's seeing 10 targets a game, so it's hard.
That's what you want.
Same with Christian Kirk. It's hard not to start those players because of the volume they're seeing, but just temper your expectations in what you might be getting out of it.
This is one of the, like I say, if you think the best defense, and the stats say that, this is one of the toughest spots for the players that you've got who are on the Jags team who are performing well. Yeah. I think you said, Lawrence is playing well, the team's playing well, they're on a bit of a roll, they're going for the playoffs. All of that's going upwards, and I think, Zay Jones and Kirk probably get a little bit undervalued because of they're not the headline names, but they're getting the volume, the team's playing well. And the Jags are one of these teams, actually, when we're saying that offenses aren't scoring a lot at the moment, and it's quite from a fantasy points perspective, the numbers are down. The Jags are putting points up, and they often go quite far behind in games and come back, so they can certainly move the ball, they can certainly put points up. And, Jones and Kirk are 2 good receivers who will be scoring a lot, and I think are undervalued for probably based on the name. But this is a tough spot, but you're probably still going to play them because you'll have had some good results, especially obviously Zay Jones last week. You'd have to be quite stacked at receiver to be dropping them.
Even though he's not fantasy relevant, you've always got sexy Marvin Jones causing a bit of havoc, keeping defenses honest, doesn't he?
Something like
just
that.
With his good looks, just with his dashing good looks.
Yeah, it could well be just his good looks at there. Because it's certainly not his wide receiver. It's certainly not his wide receiver play that's giving them concern.
There's the passing volume, though, isn't it? They're obviously playing in plenty of plays, plenty of slinging the ball around. So that the volume's up there to feed the mouths, and even Jamal Agnew's a player I don't mind. Not necessarily fantasy relevant, but when you watch him play, he's a former punt returner. He's absolutely rapid. He can get the ball in tight situations, burn off these big plays. Charge down the field for 30-40 yards, get the offense rolling, and the Jags seem to get that momentum at times in games. One play just sort of sparks them, and then they zip it into Zay Jones, he seems to get a lot of red zone and decent targets in them areas. So I think whether it's this week, not a great matchup, but these are good players for the rest of the season, and to keep an eye on for drafting next year. I think.
Yeah.
I don't think the Jags are going anywhere.
Trevor Lawrence has turned into a nice little pickup, hasn't he?
Absolutely.
He was on waiver wires for certainly the first in redraft leagues anyway. The first 6-7 weeks.
Absolutely.
I wonder what it's going to be like next year. I wonder what it's going to be like in redraft leagues.
Yeah. if you were streaming a quarterback at the start of the season, you'll have probably had a dabble on him at different points and when you thought the matchup was good and may or may not have been successful.
Yeah.
But since that second half of the season, if you've got him, you've probably stuck with him and he'll have done you well. I think again, I've seen a stat to say his passer rating have gone up 25 points from last year to this year, which is like unbelievable, not seen before from many quarterbacks. That level of improvement in the numbers year on year.
Yeah.
So in summary, in terms of wide receivers, we'll still take a chance on Kirk, even though they're up against two quality cornerbacks, and Zay Jones, just because they're hot, basically. Poor sexy Marvin he's not fantasy relevant. Travis Etienne, he's back on track.
He did get back on track.
100 yards last week, didn't he?
Yeah, he actually ran very well last week.
Do we think this is a good spot for him then? If Sauce and the other corner are shutting them down somewhat, they're having to make plays out of the backfield, little dump-off plays, jet sweeps, all those things, do they all feed into Etienne's game, or are we still thinking the Jets is just good all round? They're going to potentially stuff the line.
No, they're kind of the middle of the road against the run. So there's no concern from that point. Etienne's not really used in the passing game. In that short intermediate area, they use Evan Ingram. I know you're not a particular fan of Evan Ingram, Barry, but
he had a week. Was it last week or the week before?
Week before, wasn't it?
Week after I dropped him.
It was a top. I think it was a top 10 all time fantasy performance from a tight end.
It was a career game for him, wasn't it? I think having followed him a little bit at the Giants, he was a player who would drop every other ball for me. So that's why I'm surprised he's doing so well. And I'm a little reluctant to jump on the train because I think it's going to derail at any point. But fair play to him, he is putting the numbers up.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show how shit the position is. That prior to his blow-up game against the Titans, I think it was, he was tight end 15 on the year. After that game, he was tight end 4. So,
big movement there, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, slightly off topic here. So we discussed a few times about tight end. Well, just the position being just so hard to crack.
Yeah.
It used to be years ago where you'd have obviously the Kelsey, Kittle, and you kind of take a punt on others. But this year, just how do you think it's going to change in terms of next year when we're picking up these tight ends? Who can you safely draft other than Kelsey to and be confident?
I think people still take a chance on Andrews, and people will still take a chance on Pitts. Other than that, maybe Hawkinson stays at the Lions. Yeah, Hawkinson stays at the Lions, but they're probably,
If Waller gets himself some game time towards the end of the season, would he be?
Maybe, but I'm thinking,
not for me, Waller. I think Waller's had a couple. Andrews reminds me of Waller a couple of seasons ago. It must have been last season where he just kind of he had a mint season, then he just kind of fizzled out a little, and I don't know, going into next season, I think I'll be reluctant to draft any tight end.
Yeah,
I think it's one of them where you're tempted to play the streamer game, aren't you? Look for someone who gets hot through the year, look for good matchups, and mix and match it a little bit rather than waste a second, third, or fourth round.
Yeah, because you're losing out on a wide receiver there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I agree. I think the ones I've listed there, I think you're probably looking they're going to go in the first 5 rounds, somewhere in the first 5 rounds. Other than Kelsey, I'm not sure I'd be overly keen on taking a great deal of them, should I say.
Yeah. And even with Kelsey, you're dealing with that. Is he getting too old now? Is he past it now? You know what I mean? So even
there's
Kelsey.
There's a drop off coming. It doesn't necessarily not necessarily next week or next season, but it's not far away, is it?
No, but it's certainly not showing a little is coming. That's for sure.
No. I mean, did you see that picture of him on the bench? Was it last week or the week before? He looked like he was in a jacuzzi when his arms stretched out. I think
Yeah.
He could have been on a yacht off the coast of Miami. He was actually on, just come off a plane. And the Chiefs are flying. Yeah, he's certainly in control of his game, isn't he?
Yeah.
Onto the Jets. We'll start with the running back, Michael Carter. Since he's come back,
Well, no, he's been the number 2, hasn't he? It's been Bam Knight who's been the one.
Been the one, hasn't he? Yeah.
Bam.
Yeah. Bam.
Bam. Bam. Bam.
Bam.
Bam, bam.
It's Sonovan.
Oh God! There you go.
Could go for a night. Yeah, I mean his numbers weren't good. His numbers weren't great last week, but I think the Lions are quite good up front, aren't they, Blandy, at stopping the run.
The Lions are superb up front, Barry, and he got injured as well.
But if you look at his weeks 12, 13 and 14, he's getting 14, 15, 17 carries and putting some good yards up. Last week he was down to 13 carries, still a reasonable number. No yards because again the defense and got injured, but I wouldn't be moving away from him this week at all. I've got him in 1 or 2 leagues I picked up. I think he's still a running back 2 flex position player. Yeah,
you just have to monitor his injury. I think he's expected to play, but at the minute he's questionable. But he's probably on the right side of questionable. But yeah, the Jags are just middle of the road against running backs. So if you want to start him,
from seeing his highlights last week night, I think he was obviously banging up no yards, and he got one decent play at a good time where he peeled off a 10, 15 yarder, which is obviously not a lot, but it made a difference when you're only going to go for 1 or 2 yards or negative plays consistently. So I think the Jets fancy him, don't they? He's come out of nowhere, but I think they like what they've seen from him.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they do.
Where did he come from?
Was he was either undrafted or he was a 7th round pick.
It says on the top North Carolina State, but I think he was just nowhere, wasn't he? Because the open season, did they have?
Well, they drafted Breece Hall in the 2nd round.
Breece Hall, didn't they? Carter was good last year. They drafted Breece Hall. They've even brought in James Robinson, and he seems to be, other than Breece Hall is injured, he's seeing the rest of them off, isn't he? So he's showing something that they like. But I think, again, we spoke about the Jets. They play this quite strong defense.
Free agent was.
Generally low-scoring games. And the quarterback plays the issue, isn't it? We've got, Zach, he's back, he's in, because Mike White's injured. We've got Zach Wilson back at the helm, haven't we?
Yeah.
Which is not a good fit for the Jets in terms of how they play. They need more of a game manager, don't they? Rather than someone who's just going to make a couple of good throws and then turn it over.
Yeah, he would hard to judge last week with Wilson because he made some really good throws.
He did.
And then he just missed guys wide open across the middle of the field that anybody should be making. And you could see Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson getting frustrated with it. But then, he did make. On the other end, he did make some really good plays. Just inconsistent. That's
I think again.
The one thing, I don't know whether it was because they couldn't get the run game going against the Lions last week, and obviously the Lions' pass defense is absolutely garbage. But they did, in the previous games when he played earlier this year, they basically hid him. They'd hid Wilson within the offense. Didn't really let him have too many pass attempts, etc. But last week I think he threw for over 300 odd yards or something, 2 touchdowns. It was just those simple throws that kind of killed him,
There's a bit of ability there, isn't there? I'd say was he number 2 pick last year? But when you listen to some of the good guys on the comms, and they're saying it's his ability to go through his reads. He's not seeing the game well enough, so he can make a throw if he sees it. He's locked on his first target. And they get open, which again he's got good receivers who do get open. He might find them. He can't necessarily move from his first read to his second read to his third read quickly enough to find someone who's open and make the throw. And again, that's not the sort of thing you can coach up, is it?
No, it's mental, isn't it? It becomes a mental thing. Like Josh Allen was like that when he was in his first couple of years, where it was one read and then run, basically one read, take off, running. So yeah, it's mental development. Some players are able to do it, some players aren't able to do it, but time will tell.
I know we'd divert a little bit, but if you look at the guy who's coming at the 49ers, Brock Purdy, he seems to be able to do it quite well. He seems to be able. He might not have the arm talent to hit the flashy throws, but he seems to be able to look off 1, 2, 3. In a similar sort of situation to the Jets, where they're playing massively expansive football. They'd love to lean on the run game and just sprinkle in some nice plays. He just seems to be able to make the play, scan the field, and hit the easier passes. You're still saying the jury's out. You're still saying the jury's out, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, Shanahan's such a good schemer. I mean, the first Kittle touchdown last week was all scheme. It was all scheme. That was Shanahan.
Was that the one we retweeted? That from Brian Baldinger did a piece on it, and I think we retweeted it on our Twitter. That
the setting up for
fake a screen one way, fake a screen the other way, and then Kittle peels off down the middle.
Yeah,
but he still executes it. It's timing as well as game.
Yeah. But that's just pitch and catch. And then the other one was a complete broken play with Kittle. So he wasn't doing anything exceptional in those two touchdowns.
No, he's a bit of a no-mark QB, third or fourth up for the 49ers. So he's not going to be, have that depth of talent behind him. But I think he's just come in and looked capable. And again, the point that was made was Zach Wilson, capable of scanning the field. Where is the open man? It might only be 5 to 10 yards, but if he's on my third read, I still get there. I can get the ball out quick enough. That when you're in a good team with a good play caller like Shanahan, that can be enough. When he can then pound the run as well as it. Yeah,
the biggest compliment you can give to Brock Purdy is that since he's come in, he hasn't tanked the offense.
He hasn't cocked it up.
Yeah, that's so this will be an interesting game from this week against Washington. We've got a pretty good defense, so it'll be interesting to see how he gets on this week.
Have you seen much of him, Anth, Brock Purdy? Has he been on your radar at all?
No.
You know what his nickname is, don't you, Anth?
I do, yeah. Big Cock Brock, isn't it?
That's it. Big Cock Brock.
Surprised you haven't been keeping tabs on him then.
Yeah. So what's the latest on Jimmy then? I know we're off tangent here. We're supposed to be talking about the Jags and the Jets. But,
we're on the right tangent talking about the Jets because probably a good chance he ends up there next year if the Jets decide to move on from Wilson. It's the exact same offense as the 49ers one.
Is that genuinely? Is that all these pieces generally possible? The Jets want to get rid of Zach Wilson. You can see why. The rest of the team's performing very well. He's not. Can they get away from him that quickly? Will they get a taker? Will the 49ers, if Trey Lance doesn't get fit in the time frame he's been? I know he was injured week 1, but Jimmy G did all right. Are they still wanting to get away from Jimmy G? Are these still definite pieces? Are we in the rumor mill here? Do we think?
If Brock Purdy completes to not tank the offense, then they're going to pay him. Is it $850,000 a year to be a backup?
Right.
That's what his contract is, as opposed to pay Jimmy $25 million a year.
And then just let Trey come back in the new year, new season.
They give up far too much capital to throw the towel in on Trey. They have to. Yeah.
But he's got a really bad injury though, hasn't he, Blandy? He's not guaranteed to be at full steam in a year's time, is he?
Yeah. I think there was some murmurings that he could be ready for the playoffs, but then obviously he's not going to be. But no, his injury was.
Was it broken ankle?
Yeah, it's a pretty simple one. Yeah, as far as a broken ankle goes.
Yeah, the thing is with Trey, and then I don't know, we discussed it numerous times in the pre-season and the early season, was just how little time he's played, Trey Lance, and I know it's the injury's not his fault, but he must have played less than 10 games in the last 5 years. Yeah. And you think, bloody hell.
The thing is, though, we know he's not experienced, he's not got the tape, but Shanahan wants a QB who can be dual threat, Because if you give someone who doesn't play call ability a dual threat quarterback, he could be lethal. So if Lance is big enough body to break, do what Josh Allen can do and just bust through tackles, and can be average as a throwing quarterback, the playbook just gets even bigger, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, he was with RG3 when he was at Washington. RG3 was probably going to be the MVP that year.
So I think you've got to think
until he got injured.
They've given a lot up for Lance, but they're not giving it up because of his talent. They're giving it up because he is a player who could unlock
open
the playbook for Shanahan.
Open it up even more.
Put that with a stout defense game and a quarterback. They're going to give anybody a game on any day of the week.
Yeah.
Back onto the Jets wide receivers. Garrett Wilson.
Starting
every week.
Yeah, Wilson. So over the last 5 weeks, he's wide receiver 6 in points scored from the slot. Over that same time period, there, the Jags, they're 5th in the most points given up to wide receivers from the slot. So even with the QB downgrade in Garrett Wilson, in Zach Wilson. Garrett Wilson's he's a good player. Good player. To be honest, he's pretty much a good player. Every week now, he's not really someone you should be thinking about. Do I start him? He's an automatic start.
It seems like again that. Go on. I know you're going to go after the mix between Wilson, Moore, and Davis through different injuries and loss of form and fallouts has all fell kindly for Garrett Wilson. He's been the stout mainstay. He stayed pretty much fit. He's getting the lion's share. They've not had a 3-headed monster to feed all season, so that's worked out nicely for him.
So that was my question, Baz. Was Corey Davis is back this week, or looks like it? Does that impact?
Right.
He's returning to full practice yesterday anyway.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't impact Garrett Wilson's a superstar, right?
Yeah, it doesn't impact.
You're talking along your Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase kind of trajectory here with this line. Right. He's of any one of these rookie wide receivers who we've seen this year. I'll leave Jameson Williams out for the minute because I think he's hellish as well, or can be. You've kind of got a top 4 or 5 wide receivers in the league that are, a tier above everybody else. If one of these rookie wide receivers is going to break into that tier in the next couple of years, it's going to be Garrett Wilson.
Fair shout. But Corey Davis, was it when it was a little bit of 3 of them and trying to work out who goes where? Was he the one that Zach seemed to like? Or was it Flacco? Was it Flacco who came in and seemed to like him?
Flacco just threw the ball 50 odd times, so it didn't matter who we liked, who we disliked, kind of thing. They were going to get the ball regardless because he was throwing it that many times. But no, Davis does have his blow up games, but he's very much on the outside looking in. His game's going to be hard. Yeah, it's going to be hard to predict. His game's going to be hard to predict.
Okay. Anyone else on the Jets?
Just a little mention on Mike White. I know he's not fit at the moment, but where is he still in the mix to get the QB1 spot if he gets fit down the stretch? Blandy, is he the best option that they've got?
Possibly.
Is he any good? Is he just sort of again? He's a not cock it up type of player.
Yeah, he's very much that. Yeah. He's very much. He won't tank the offense. So.
Next game. Let's have a look. Giants at the Vikings.
Yeah, this is. I know Blandy will have a lot of stuff on this one, but this is an interesting game for me in terms of teams who play different styles of. The Vikings seem to be in these very high scoring games, can be behind, can blow leads, and just seem to win a close game. The Giants win close games for hanging around and being a bit sort of dogged in lower scoring games. So it'll be interesting to see how this one plays out.
Yeah. very much so. Good thing this is a dome game, so we've got no weather concerns.
Do you advocate the dome, Blandy? Are you a let's go dome, or do you think
everything should be in a dome? Everything should be in a dome. The NFL sells itself on being an entertainment business. Yeah. So who the fuck wants to watch the Cleveland Browns against the Saints rush the ball for 80 times in a game on Saturday? Absolutely nobody.
Anth, you like watching a snow game?
I like a fucking snow game, like a proper deep snow game when they're
a couple of foot
fingering it off and that. I also like when it thunders and lightnings as well when they fucking about with that. That's always good.
Yeah, no, like that game we watched. That game we watched last week, the Vikings and the Colts. Where was that played?
I like a bit of unpredictability myself. I think I'm with that. If I'm going on there and that's on that side, I think
I like when they're running on fucking blowing the lines and that. Me, do you know?
No. Entertainment business. It's an entertainment business.
There's 16 games a week.
No entertainment about it.
There's 16 games a week. There's room for a bit of bad weather in there.
Yeah,
and we've got a great photo of a weather map of somebody who looks like Anth. So we need the weather. We don't need domes. This pod needs the weather.
Exactly that. It just
Barry,
adds a little bit of
complain
variance,
every week. You complain every week that there's about 13 shit games. You know. So at least give yourself a chance by putting them all in domes. So there might be, we might get couple of good ones.
I like watching in Buffalo and Green Bay and stuff like that. You know, when they're all in the hats and in them big, massive coats and that, and then the quarterbacks are putting their hands in the little pouch thing, keeping their hands warm. And that. I like all that.
Yeah. I like a bit of variation. Did you see the crowd pictures from Buffalo last week before the game? They have those bench seats with no backs, so there's a row of benches, and there was about 3 inches of snow on the bench. I mean, can you imagine having a ticket to that game thinking, I think I'll watch it on telly or in the pub?
What I love about it as well is it's never in question of getting called off, is it? It's like
no. Well, that's there you go. They'll not call it off, Blandy, will they? They'll play it, or they'll move it to a different city. They'll keep the game. God, yeah. The wheels got to keep turning. The cash keeps coming in.
Just had a worldwide pandemic and it never stopped the NFL.
Yeah.
But when you go back to you can't have 16 good games, Blandy, especially when you've got teams like the Broncos and the Rams, our two teams. I mean, nobody wants to watch them. We've got to watch them play each other on Christmas Day.
28 bad teams. Not when there's 28 bad teams, eh?
Christmas Day, prime time, UK, 9:30. We're going to serve up the Broncos and the Rams.
Hey, Russ is back.
I think I'll put a replay of the King's speech on.
At least I'll be pissed.
Russ is back this week. Let's ride.
Jesus Christ. I think the Broncos will beat the Rams, just to get that out there, but it won't be entertaining.
You're probably right.
Because
I mean, our wide receiver one's injured now. Ben Skronik, your mate.
Ben Skronik.
He's done for the year. He's had one game over 30 yards since week 6, but yeah.
How many injuries you got now?
Too many to count, to be honest with you. We lost another offensive lineman. Our centre, he's out for the year. He's gone. You know, so I think
you're gonna get the Lions a great draft pick, aren't you? They're gonna get a lovely little third or fourth pick of the draft off you for.
Who's getting the pick?
I reckon they'll.
Are the Lions getting it?
I reckon they'll trade back as well. I reckon they'll.
So the Lions are going to end up with potentially the quarterback who's still playing, because Stafford might be retired, and the pick, and it might be a top 5 pick. It's going to turn out to be a great trade. That.
Hey, we won a Super Bowl. Stafford said on his wife's podcast yesterday, right? She asked him if he was retiring. He said no. So.
And there you go. News it is. Blandy listens to Matthew Stafford's wife's podcast.
Yeah. I wonder
That's
why.
What I'll take from
it's on video, is it?
Yes.
Is she blonde, is she?
She is.
I fucking knew it. Anyway.
How did you guess?
Moving swiftly on. Blandy's had his reservations about this Vikings team throughout the season. Regardless of their unbelievable record, you've always said they're a bit of a fraud.
Yeah.
Reminds me of Paul Oak's team in our fantasy league. He's not watching, don't worry about it. Do you fancy the spread getting taken? The Giants.
Don't know. Don't know.
Tricky
Possibly.
one. It's 48. It's 48, isn't it? It's a big number for a game with the Giants involved.
No, I want to go over this. I think I want to take the over in this. I want to take the over in this game. The Vikings, the Vikings defense is trash, absolutely trash. So yeah, I want to take the over in this game. It could be in front of the
reserved about taking overs in games that involve the Giants when you look at their wide receivers.
Yeah, let's start on the Vikings first, because when I opened the tabs up for this game, I was thinking, well, I wonder where we're going to go with this Giants team. But anyway, let's start with the Vikings team.
I think you should lead on the Vikings team, Anth, because your man had a good week last week, didn't he?
KJ, yeah, he had his season high week. KJ.
Had you kept hold of him? Had you cut him loose, or had you kept hold of him?
I cut him loose around this 1.5 week here in week 4.
I'll tell you what, you are ruthless, aren't you? There's no loyalty from Anth, isn't it? If you're a bad week, Blandy, bad tips, you'll be off the podcast next week.
If only I'd have waited 11 weeks, I'd be paid off.
That's what you got a bench for, mate. Keep him on your bench.
Yeah. No,
yeah.
Crazy week, wasn't it?
Yeah. I definitely think you can. Can he start in this week?
Is he going to overtake Thielen at some point next year?
Maybe he's possibly, but then I think Hawkinson's going to overtake the pair of them anyway. As the secondary receiver on the team. The two of them, Thielen and Osborne, is your fourth wide receiver on the team. Maybe I'm never really want to hype up Adam Thielen. He's definitely on the downside of his career.
We did give him a tip a week or two ago to say this was a week to play him, and I think he scored a touchdown. So again,
he did, yeah.
It's knowing your man in the right spot, isn't it?
Yeah, you have to pick and choose your spots, and this might be another one where you could play him. It was that Detroit game where we put him up, obviously, because we were playing the Lions.
He's gone back. He's gone three touchdowns in 4 weeks, so he's having a good spell for him. He's not going to be a volume monster, and he's not going to be. He's on the decline, isn't he?
He's doing what Adam Thielen does. Yeah, Basically, he's now just turned into a tight end, essentially.
So what I'm hearing is, right, you can play Thielen possibly. You're obviously going to play Jefferson. You can possibly play KJ Osborne. You're probably going to play Hawkinson at tight end. So that means you're going to play Kirk Cousins.
I wouldn't put you off. Especially if I'm saying that I think this game's going to go over the 48 points. It's in a dome, no weather concerns. He's probably a top 12. Yeah, top 12 quarterback on the week.
Is that stat telling us, Anth, that he's the 8th best quarterback overall this season? Is he?
Yeah.
That is being redraft. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but even still, he won't have been taken early in redraft. So if you're in that streaming or you've gone for the late pickup of a quarterback, he'll have served you relatively well. And I think back to the initial, our Vikings frauds at 11-3. I've been playing devil's advocate with a few people recently to say, are they still frauds when they go to Buffalo and win? Are they still frauds when they got the second best record in the division? They are unpredictable somewhat. I don't think anyone believes they're 11-3. You might have them more of a 9-5 team. But I think they showed us they're capable. Because they put so many points up and they've got Justin Jefferson and they've got Cousins who's capable and they've got a good run game. They are capable of winning on any given day.
they're an 8-6 team. They're a one and done playoff team.
Oh, that's a bit harsh. That is a bit harsh. I'll remember. Get that one noted down, Anth. We'll be on it in wildcard week.
Yeah, they're one and done.
One and done.
They might have a bye week wildcard week. They might get number 1 seed, Blandy.
So we're firing all the Vikings up.
The two running backs in this game are in really good spots.
Fire up the frauds.
Saquon.
Cook
Saquon
playing,
and
Cousins
Cook,
playing,
but-
Phelan playing, possibly. Jefferson playing, obviously. Cage Osborne possibly playing. Hawkinson playing. On to the Giants. Saquon.
Yeah, you played Saquon.
Decent week.
Saquon.
He had a good week last week. I think we said a couple of weeks before he was looking a little bit tired, wasn't he? He's probably had the heaviest workload he's had. He's in a team that he doesn't get a lot of break. He doesn't get a receiver to just win him a game and have 150 yards and 3 touchdowns. He is the offense. He has to carry it on his back. So, he did have a stowaway, look a bit leggy. I think he had a good comeback last week. You'd just like to see a bit more balanced game so they can give him some more time off the field or whatever. But he's still an elite talent, isn't he?
It's nice to see our old tech guy getting the lingo right now, isn't it? Leon. He's gone from a tech wizard to the fucking fantasy wizard. I might swap places with him next year. I'll just do the cameras. Cheers, Leon, as always. So the thing is, though, is when I got all these tabs up, who else can you play for the Giants?
You probably play Darius Slayton. He was in a tough spot last week against the Commanders. Let me just pull up my notes 2 seconds. I think they're top 3 or 4 in the
while
league.
you put your notes, Blandy, just looking at the stats on the top of there, Anth, he's only 47% rostered at Slayton. So again, if you're in, we're saying there's some tricky weather weeks. We're saying there's some low scoring offenses, tight matchups. He is a player who doesn't have a lot of competition for targets in a team, and is capable of making some deep plays. So I think he is one. If you're struggling for a flex wide receiver 3, whatever it might be, give him some consideration.
Yeah,
because he could be on the waiver.
Yeah. So the Commanders who they played last week, over the last 5 weeks, they're the 30th ranked defense in points to wide receivers. This week he faces the Vikings, and they give up the 3rd most points to wide receivers. So he's the wide receiver 1 for this team. So he's as Baz said, wide receiver 3 flex player definitely.
Yeah, I got a bit burned by Richie James. I did a short on Richie James on YouTube, and I got absolutely hammered by some random blokes.
Is that why I haven't done anymore?
Just saying he's absolutely shy to get what you're talking about.
Saying this age well, and I know fuck all. And
put the camera down, keep walking your dog.
Yeah. Bland Michael was one of the usernames. So.
Yeah, you found my burner account, did you?
So no, Slayton's the only one we're playing, yeah?
Yeah, I think so. I like Isaiah Hodgins, but I wouldn't recommend anyone playing him. I don't think.
Yeah.
He's done really well since he's come over from Buffalo. But,
how many points are the Giants going to score out of these 48 plus, Blandy? Are they going to get 24 points, 4 touchdowns? 28 points, so 3 to kick. Or how many do you need them to get? How many do you need them to get to go over? Do you need them to get to 21, 24?
24.
Who gets them? Barkley.
Well, Barkley's going to get at least, he's going to get at least one of the touchdowns, at least 100 and something yards, isn't he? He has to.
Yeah. Danny Dimes rushing touchdown.
Jones has got to use his legs to get 60 yards. So that's
I was
probably
going to say 60 yards and not fall over. Yeah.
Half of your offense isn't off them 2 players, and then the rest of them are feeding on scraps because they're not very good, or the quarterback's not good enough to. The quarterback's not good enough to find them.
Oh, Barry's still gone down this rabbit hole.
I was going to say this is another debate we've had. Daniel Jones, you're calling the Vikings a one and done. This guy won't win a playoff game in his career. So if the Giants make the playoffs, they're one and done. They're crap. he ain't going to get a contract at any good team and play any playoff teams with good teams. I can't see him win a playoff game. The Giants need to be getting shot at him ASAP.
Well, they didn't pick up his 5th-year option, did they? So it's this contract year for him. So we'll just have to see how it plays out.
There might not be better options where they land in the draft now that they're potentially a playoff team and they're picking halfway down. But
no, there most certainly isn't.
You're going to have to pay. You're going to have to pay him relative to his talent, and you don't want to be giving him a mega deal on a long-term deal. You need to be something you can get out of easily when you get a better option. Because the coaching's good, the running back's good. They seem to be getting some pieces. Thibodeau looks good, doesn't he? There's a sprinkle of a team there, but a decent quarterback will elevate it. And this guy is below average for me.
Like Dable probably should get Coach of the Year. He won't, but he probably should.
He's good fantasy relevance, Jones, because of his running ability, isn't he?
Yeah.
Doesn't make him a good quarterback though.
No, it doesn't.
I've got a little soft spot for him. I think he's tries his hardest. I just like that.
He's a likable character. I did love the run when he fell over, but talent-wise, he's not at the top end of the scale.
Yeah.
No.
Talking about bad calls, I've Bellinger up here was widely tipped by the podcast at one point, I think.
To be fair to you, I think it was injury that set him back, wasn't it?
Yeah, we tipped him week 7.
Injury.
And he somehow got poked in the eye, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
Just hasn't recovered from that poke in the eye. Bless him.
Not yet, but he is. I mean, he is running all the routes. He's a full-time tight end, so similar to Evan Ingram with the Jaguars. The roles there. At some point, he is going to pop up and have a big game.
He's just
when that'll be, who knows? But at some point, he will pop up and have a big game.
He's just playing with a patch on. That's the problem, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Poking the eye, he's got a Paris patch on.
Yeah.
On to the Lions and Panthers.
Yeah. Who can't we play in this game?
Who can't we play? People who play for the Panthers?
Not necessarily.
Are you going to say Williams?
Come on. No, there's an obvious one who we definitely can't play. We just spoke about them before. What team are the Panthers playing?
The Lions.
And what do the Lions defense? What Lions?
So you're playing your running backs at the Panthers.
Exactly.
No?
There we go. Donta Foreman. Donta Foreman last week against the Steelers. He had 10 carries. They went for 9 yards. He's now, they're now playing the best rushing defense in the league. That's a tough start for me.
Yeah. I mean, they're going to want to run the ball as well, aren't they, the Panthers? Because they've got Darnold back in at QB, who again are trying to sort of ease in, hide away. He's not their first choice option by a long shot, but they're stuck with him somewhat. So they're going to want to go to the run game, and we know they're not going to get a lot of success on it. So they're going to get a lot of getting stuffed up, you would think, and a lot of probably punting or.
And the Lions are a good offense. They're going to put up points, aren't they? So
DJ Moore, is he a player for you, Blandy?
Yeah,
I think he is.
Was told the thoughts on the players first.
Okay.
Let's talk about the spread and the over under.
Okay, let's go for it.
And then we'll dig into them players. I've got a chat on. Fuck off, Leon. Leon saying, what about Hubbard as a high X? Fucking.
We've got a lot of flex to get him in.
He's got fucking NFL fantasy for dummies out on the fucking.
The Lions.
Can you send it over once you finish?
The Lions don't give up. The Lions don't give up many receiving yards to running backs either. So Hubbard might be on the field a lot, but he might not be too productive.
So you're not fancying the Panthers covering the spread?
No, I'd be what's that there? The Lions less than a field goal. I'd probably take the Lions.
I was going to say I've got these on my sort of bet of the week for the Lions. They're absolutely red hot in terms of form. They've 3 wins on the spin. They've got they've thrashed the Jags. Who did they beat last week? 2 weeks ago. They've the 4. They beat the Vikings, and then they beat the Jets last week. So they're in red hot form. They're scoring points left, right, and centre. They've got all the main guys back. Swift to come back to form. To go to Carolina and only be 2.5 point dogs. I'm taking the Lions this week as a nap.
Yeah.
Nice, I like it. Over and under.
I'm probably covering. Again, I can see the Lions putting 30 plus points on the board. So the total's 44, is it?
Yeah.
The Lions could easily put on 34 points, something like that. It doesn't need the Panthers to get too many, does it, to go over?
No, and the Lions are the Lions have the worst passing defense in the league. So. I imagine Panthers will score at least 1 touchdown through the air.
Right. Let's move on to these Panthers running backs that you mentioned before that we shouldn't be playing.
Don't play. Move on.
Hubbard, we don't play.
Even in the receiving game, the Lions don't give up. I think they give up about 18 yards in the last 7 weeks. They've given up an average 18 yards to running backs in the receiving game. So they're just really, 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 really good against running backs.
But if we take the Lions defense out of it, the Hubbard Foreman sort of split. Foreman is the lead, isn't he, over Hubbard?
Foreman is the lead, if they can establish the run. Foreman is definitely the lead, but as soon as they get behind,
ahead.
Looking
further ahead.
Yeah, we saw last week. They got behind, and that was it. He had his 10 carries, and see you later.
And what do they do then? Ask Darnold to throw the ball a bit more? Is that how it goes?
Yeah, pretty much.
It doesn't feel like a recipe for success, that, does it?
No, like last week was a pretty slow-paced game because the Steelers on the other side, Najee had 24 carries. I think Jalen Warren, Jalen Warren had about 10 carries, I think. So it was a really slow game. It went by pretty quickly. There wasn't many plays run, but I think the Panthers only ran 45 plays or something in total. So this week will be the opposite though, because the Lions play fast. The Lions throw the ball a lot, can put up points. So either the Panthers continue the same style of play and they just get absolutely spanked and they just take the beating and want to get out there quick enough, or if they want to try and be competitive, then they've got to try and keep pace with them. But that will be through the air and not on the ground.
So you're playing DJ?
Yeah, I would play DJ more. The Lions are the worst. The Lions are the worst pass defense in the league, pretty much.
They've got to throw it somewhere, hasn't he? He's going to be the number 1 target. He's got an arm on him, hasn't he? He can hit a player or two. So DJ is quite clearly the number 1, right? He's 28% target share, I think. When they don't throw the ball that much, having such a big portion of a small pie is unfortunate. But he's DJ Moore. You can start him as a wide receiver. As your third, second wide receiver. He's kind of on that borderline. But you could see the game script going that the Lions score 2 touchdowns in the first quarter. The Panthers run into the brick wall, and then have to spend 3 quarters throwing the ball, trying to force it into DJ Moore. So that game script could easily happen for him, couldn't it?
Yeah.
We can't talk about the Panthers without obviously touching on Tommy.
Obviously,
goes without saying. Obviously, we can't play him.
Unfortunately, not. No, we can just admire him.
Yeah, just admire him from afar.
Exactly.
Keep on your bench. Keep the bench warm.
Yeah, keep the morale up. Anyone else we can talk about from the Panthers to get us that 20 points that we might need to get us on the over?
No.
I don't know. I don't want to be taking the over.
There's a rookie running back, isn't it? Raheem Blackshear. He's one to keep an eye on in dynasties.
He looks pretty explosive, eh? I mean, but last week.
Oh yeah, we talked about him before, haven't we?
We did, yeah.
Yeah, I've mentioned him a couple of times. He looks like one, again, for dynasty leagues, deep benches, stash him away. You know, we don't rate Foreman or Chuba Hubbard too much, do we? He could next season come into the mix a bit more.
Yeah, he played 2 snaps last week, so
yeah, he's not relevant at all at the moment. But
that was that.
But again, you know, he's in the Okonkwo, the Shaheed, Rashid Shaheed, what it's called. Just when you see a player look a bit explosive, you think, he might at some point
might be something there. Yeah.
What picks have the Panthers got next season?
Have they traded much away?
Still got the first round. Yeah, because they traded something for Darnold. Was it a third for Darnold? Or Baker? No, it was third for Baker, wasn't it? I think. So still got first. I mean, they could have had another first off the Rams, because the Rams tried to give them 2 first-round picks for Brian Burns at the trade deadline, but they turned it down. So they could have had another 2 first-round picks. Obviously not this year's, because we've already given that one away. But yeah, the 2 years after that, yeah, we offered them, but they turned them down.
If we come to do any draft shows in the future, we won't be spending much time talking about the Rams draft picks, will we?
No, probably not.
No.
No time soon, anyway. Excuse me.
Onto the Lions.
Yep.
Let's start with the Shark.
Yeah, let's go.
The best Giffen in football.
Yep. Yes. So there was no Giffen. There was no Giffen last week because he got sourced last week by the Jets and sourced Gardner.
Completely shut him down.
Yeah, but that was predictable. But this week he gets the Panthers, who are giving up the 3rd most points to outside wide receivers on the season, and the 6th most over the last 5 weeks. He plays almost exclusively on the outside because Amon-Ra plays in the slot. So he's a good start this week, is DJ Chark. Started pretty confidently because Jameson Williams, his snap share hasn't increased, and then even if it did increase, I think that will be on the other side, which is kind of Josh Reynolds, Khalif Raymond kind of splitting that role on the other side of the field. So even if Williams' snap share did increase, I don't think it'd have any impact on Chark whatsoever.
Are the Lions in a fortunate enough position that they've got Chark, they've got Amon-Ra, the rolling, the form's good, that they can just afford to ease Williams in for the rest of the season, or are they going to get to the point where they make the playoffs and they've got to sort of, try and spring a surprise and give him more volume?
Yeah, it's the further they go, the deeper they go into the season, into the playoffs, if they make the playoffs, then obviously his playing time is going to increase. And they'll have specific packages for him. He should have had a touchdown last week. I think he only played 19 snaps. He only saw that one target. That one target last week should have been a touchdown. Goff underthrew him about 20, maybe about 25 yarder, 30 yarder, something like that. And Goff just underthrew him. If he'd have thrown it out in front of him, he'd absolutely torched the defender. But Goff underthrew him. He had to turn around, and that allowed the defender to make a play on the ball. And that was his only target in the game. But it should have actually been a touchdown.
But they're fortunate enough that they're winning games, they're scoring points, they're making plays without him, that they can just keep him up the sleeve and ease him in a bit. That seems to be a nice little slot position for him.
Yeah, because I think Chark is only on a 1-year deal as well. So it's very much an eye to the future with Jameson Williams.
50-1 to win the Super Bowl, Lions. Just checked.
50. Wow. I mean, they're absolutely flat. I think everyone's rooting for him on the back of Hard Knocks. We all like Dan Campbell, don't we? But we also buy into the team spirit and the grit and everything else they've got going for them. And they've got a bit of talent now as well. Like I said, we know they're weak at corner and stuff like that, but they've got plenty of talent in lots of different positions. And Goff's playing well himself, isn't he?
Yeah, so long as they protect him, Goff's fine. It's when it's always been the case with Goff. If you don't protect him, then everything turns to shit. But they have one of the best O lines in the league. They do. They have one of the best O lines in the league.
Yeah,
So
there you go. So it's not. It's not.
so long as they stay healthy, Goff, he can, he can. I wouldn't say he can't make all the throws because he can't, but he can make most of them.
How far do you fancy them to go?
I fancy them to make the playoffs because I think they've got a good little run in, haven't they? They've got the Panthers and the Bears, haven't they, coming up? So
Packers last game.
So if you've got 3 games left. If you win the 7-7, if they win 2 of them, that should get them in, shouldn't it, Blandy?
Well, it's between them and the Packers, I think. So it'll come down. It could come down to week 18. But the Packers this week.
When I looked at the standings for wildcard, the level with the Seahawks, the same wins as the Commanders, but the Commanders got a tie, and one behind the Giants. So I think they've got every capability of getting above all of them. Yes, what the Packers do is a question mark because again they're a little bit up and down. They're 6 and 8 at the moment. So if the Lions win these next 2 games against the Panthers and the Bears, they're going to go to 9 and 7. So the Green Bay would have to go to be 8 and 8 with them. And I don't know what the divisional record heads like, but you can also see Green Bay. They're at Miami this week, so if they lose that game, you can't catch them anywhere.
Yeah,
I do fancy the Lions to make the playoffs, and I think again if they're going into the playoffs in this hot form, they're definitely capable of spring surprise. How deep in the playoffs they can go, I don't know, but the other teams in the division who are in the playoffs, I think they'll give people a game.
Yeah, the NFC is not particularly strong, is it? It's the AFC that's a lot stronger this year. That's for sure.
But yeah, we're all rooting for them, aren't we? After the back of Hard Knocks.
Yeah. Well, even that, just like last year, I really like Dan Campbell from his initial press conference where he was announced as the head coach, and he was on about biting players' kneecaps off and stuff like that. And,
he's a heart on the sleeve guy, isn't he? He's likable, but he's building, and I think it was.
Yeah, you can see why players want to play for him, can't you?
I think it was for me. It was something that resonated this week when I was watching the games back. It was a tight game for the Jets, and the Jets had a late kick, didn't they? Greg the Leg had a 54-yarder to tie it up, and he pulled it right, and the Lions won. Last year was the sort of game where people were making those huge kicks, or they were just faltering on the last few plays of the game. It seems like they've made that progression where they're winning them tight games against. As we said, the Jets are a good team. They've got over the line. They've won a tight game. They've 3 wins in a row. They're headed plus. I think they've took that step forward, haven't they? So they will give good teams a good game now.
Hiya, Chris.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Question anyway, lads. Hiya, Chris. We're good. Getting ready for Christmas. We're on the wine. We're on the beer. So, question from Chris: you guys rolling with Lawrence or Minshaw this week?
For me, I think we touched on it earlier how well Trevor Lawrence is playing.
Yeah, it's a tough matchup. Tough matchup against the Jets.
It is, but
he's playing so well that
he's playing form of his life, isn't he? The best he's played.
Yes. Yeah.
They are, and again, I think I said they are putting points up in teams. They can go. There was 3 scores down when against the Cowboys last week and came back. So they're moving the ball. Yes, maybe Sauce is going to shut down half the field, but you've got Etienne making the run game open. You've got Evan Ingram. You've got receivers on the other side. They've got some depth at receiver. He's accurate. He's in rhythm. I think he's a good player, Lawrence, even in a tough matchup. Even
against that Jets defense, he just seems a safer option, doesn't he? As much as I love Gardner, it's just like it seems a big risk, especially in the playoffs.
I would say Gardner's in a tough spot as well. He's coming in and they're going away to Dallas, isn't he, in a divisional game?
Yeah.
And he's not a clone of Hurts. He's not going to do the run plays that Hurts does. So it's going to be a lot of change for him. Capable player, but I don't know who else Chris has got in his waiver wire. I know we've said Goff's a good player at the moment, isn't he? If he's available, I don't know what league it is, whether it's 1 QB or 2 QB league, but there's been quarterbacks on the waiver wire over the last couple of months that you might have been able to bench.
Yeah, so I think the I think the answer is Trev.
Yeah. But out of those two, if he's got Hurts as his first player, his first quarterback who's injured, and he's got Lawrence and Minshew on his bench, I'd be starting Lawrence myself.
Yeah. Just happy with that floor that Trevor's going to give you. That's a bonus. What are you thinking about Blandy? What are you thinking about Blandy?
No, I just saw his comment there. He's got Purdy or Carr out there. I'd probably, I'd definitely play Purdy over Minshew. That's for sure. I said,
right.
It's a tougher matchup this week for him against Commanders, but I just trust Kyle Shanahan's going to put him in a good spot. So he's got all the weapons. He's got all the weapons around him. I would play Purdy over them. You could play Carr as well, but the problem I have with Carr is you have to keep an eye on the weather.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so Chris, we discussed it earlier, the weather for the Raiders... Steelers, yeah.
Pittsburgh, yeah.
It's going to be windy.
It could be, yeah. It could be. But no, I would play Purdy over Minshew.
Would you play Purdy over Lawrence?
No.
So you still play Lawrence?
Yeah, he's just playing so well at the moment.
I think you go with the quarterback talent. You go with the form. I think
so. Lawrence trumps them all. Lawrence trumps them all. Chris.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go for Lawrence.
Even in a tough matchup, Lawrence is probably a top 12 QB this week.
Yeah. If you want to scroll back after this is finished, we discussed the Jags and Jets game. It might give you a bit more confidence.
And hopefully you're in the playoffs, Chris, and you can get the W and come back on next week, and we'll have another chat about some players for next week and maybe win your game.
Yeah, cheers, Chris. If you haven't subscribed, please submit. Help us go into next season as well. Anyone else from this Lions team?
So we haven't got too much into the running back game, which is at the line, which is again very interesting, because I think we said last week or the week before that Jamal Williams has got the most touchdowns, but he's going to be there to kill you, and Swift's just getting that that share. It's still a little bit of a head scratcher, this one, Blandy, isn't it?
Yeah, Swift once again, like last week, and week 13 is off the injury report. So I think you're going to get similar usage, if not more usage, than what you saw last week with him. I would have no problem starting Swift this week as my second running back. No bother at all.
No,
I think he's pretty easy. With Jamal Williams, he's kind of now he's a touchdown bust. If you just flick onto his profile, you can see his efficiency has absolutely tanked recently.
But if you're a fantasy owner and you've had him since week 1, 2, or 3, he's got all these touchdowns. You feel like you're loyal and locked into him. Not everyone's as ruthless as Anth, who'll just cut people left, right, and centre because he doesn't like them or they've had a haircut or whatever. It's difficult to get away from. But I think we're saying you need to.
Yeah, no, you stick him on your bench, and then if an injury occurs and his role grows. But I mean, you can't play someone who's seeing 30% snaps and is a zero in the passing game. I mean, he's had one target there. You scroll up, Anth, when was the last time you saw a target? Yeah, week 8. So it's basically been half a season almost.
But it
was a lot more. What's that? Sorry.
It's a strange thing to be saying. Bench the rushing touchdown leader.
But I mean, like you say, they're not dogs. You can't get loyal to them,
No, but just in general, people who play fantasy were saying this guy's he's a leader. I'm playing him every week regardless. You do have to bench him now.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly, because even if he scores a touchdown, that's only giving you 6 points on top of the 20 or 30 yards that he's getting you on the ground. So,
Yeah.
he scores a touchdown, he's barely breaking double figures. So
I just think it's difficult for people to do because they do have that loyalty to the fact that he's got 14 touchdowns this season for me. He might score 2 next week, but he's not Swift. Swift is established himself as the number 1 again, isn't he?
Yeah. Yeah,
just to interrupt, Chris brought a good point up there. So no worries about the rain in the Jags game for Lawrence. So I'm just sharing my screen here. So it sounds like this game is going to be affected by the some bad weather as well.
If you listen back to the start, I did mention that, but you just disregard it. So yes, no, I'm joking.
yeah.
There's rain forecast.
I'm seeing rain, but I'm not seeing any intense gusts that article suggests there. So, weather's very funny. And if I remember rightly, MetLife Stadium is one of the stadiums that's not overly affected by wind in the way that it's designed.
It's quite high, isn't it? It's quite high side. It's not domed, but it's very high side of the roof, so it's not going to let much in.
I think the pitch is sunk as well. The surface is sunk as well a bit. But yeah, it's just something that you need to consider. If the wind, if the rain kind of is intense and it's looked like it's going to be consistent all the way through, then yes, that might give you pause. But fortunately, it's the early game tomorrow night, so you can kind of you can make your decision right up to kickoff and what you want to do. In the normal circumstances, yeah, no problem. I would start Lawrence, but if you were uncomfortable with it and you could pick up someone like Purdy, and you felt a bit more comfortable going that way, then yeah, definitely do that. But just keep an eye on the rain. A little bit of rain basically has no effect on a game, but if it is consistent and it is falling quite heavily, then yeah, it can be a bit of a spoiler.
Good stuff. Sorry about the dogs there.
No, what was going on? You wasn't
the missus come back from a night out.
What, a night out walking the dog? You treat her right, don't you?
No, yeah, she's been down the town on the razzle.
Has she?
I'm hoping she's brought a pizza back, to be honest.
I thought you were going to say I'm hoping for something else there, but we'll.
No comment. I've had a bottle of wine, Barry, and my sugar. Anyway.
I thought it was pre-show. 1 bottle pre-show.
Well, that's one thing. We haven't had our XXX Hot Babes on tonight in the chat.
Disappointing. Must have bored him to death.
Yeah, disappointing. Yeah, I'll have to have a word.
We don't even get botted anymore. Anyway.
I wonder if my subscriptions run out.
Amon-Ra St. Brown, we're going to play now.
Yeah, you play Amon-Ra. Yeah.
Move on. Fantastic. So, any other games?
Just go back to, sorry, just go on. One thing that Baz mentioned with Swift being the number 1. I don't think he is the number 1. I think he's the highest upside in the 3-man committee. Is the best way to describe it, because Justin Jackson's getting loads of run as well, but Swift has Swift sees enough volume on the ground, but more importantly, he sees quite a bit of volume through the air.
He also if he's only getting a third or a bigger share, he's most capable of doing the most with it, isn't he?
Exactly.
He's got the talent.
He's the most explosive back that they've got. Yeah.
Any other games you like to touch on? That was the last one I had on my list. So we've covered the Raiders, Steelers, Browns, Vikings, Giants, Jets, Lions covered.
I mean, there's not, again, look at the slate. There's a nice spread out amount of games that we can watch. A lot of games over this festive period. Can't we? You've got potential to watch 8 live games over the next few days if you've got no life, no family, and nothing else to do. But we're all gonna get our fill, aren't we, of NFL, which is good. some of the games aren't particularly great, but again, it's still a game to watch.
The World Cup's over now as well, isn't it? So we're concentrating on the.
The World Cup was over a week on Saturday, wasn't
it? So just a couple of players to not matches, but just players in particular, just to touch on there. So we've got Pacheco and McKinnon, the two running backs for the Chiefs. You could probably start both of them against the Seahawks.
Let me just get a little blank slate here.
And just a real quick chat on these keep the tabs up. The Seahawks and the Chiefs. I think we spoke a little bit about McKinnon and looking very explosive, and you've seen how fast his combine 40 time was. Where are we at with the Seahawks in terms of there were 7-17? There's a lot of hype about the start of the season. Geno Smith's, a great quarterback. They still seem, in the times I see them, very hit and miss and quite often miss.
I think the defense that started off well has gone right down the pan, basically, and it's killing them.
And they have a lot of problem in the run game as well with injuries, because we know that Pete Carroll loves the run game to establish a run, doesn't he? Get the work.
Well, like that's not technically true, at least this year, right?
No, but look at his career.
When he had Russ there, yes, they loved the run game, but this year they're one of only a few teams in the league whose passing rate over expected. So basically, they pass the ball more than what's expected in neutral situations. They're one of the only few teams in the league that is actually above average on that metric. So they have actually let the ball loose, certainly a hell of a lot more than what they did when Russ was there. So yes, in years gone by, Pete Carroll, they had favoured the run, but that's not necessarily true this year. I don't know whether they will go back to that now with Lockett being injured.
I'm still of it. You can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Yeah,
and he's an old dog, Carroll, isn't he?
He's very old, and I think everybody probably owes Pete Carroll an apology because he's definitely come out the winner of the Russell Wilson trade, hasn't he? At the time, the Seahawks were slated for it, and what you're doing, you're going through a rebuild with a 71-year-old head coach, and he's chewing gum and laughing at us all now, isn't he?
I mean, he's only laughing so far when he's 7-7. If he doesn't make the playoffs, so, there's not too much laughing you can do if you're out on the outside. Yes, you might have got your $250 million. You've got your $250 million in your picks for Russell Wilson, and fair enough, it hasn't worked out the Broncos. I think I'm in the hype. There was a lot of hype on Geno early doors about how well he's playing. I'm not convinced by them. If they're not winning games and he's just doing a few flashy plays here and there, are they really winning?
Well, I don't know. I mean, you say that about Geno. I mean, he does have the highest completion percentage in the league.
Okay. I'm just looking at a 7-7 team. Are they going to make the playoffs? If they don't make the playoffs,
he's the only starter in the league with a completion percentage above 70%.
Okay.
So, are they going to make the playoffs? I don't know. But if you said at the start of the season that they had a chance to make the playoffs, I don't think anybody believed you. So
it's been an unpredictable league this year. You wouldn't have had the Rams at 4-10 and the Cardinals at 4-10 in the same division. No,
I might have had the Cardinals at 4-10 with Cliff.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I'm just again, maybe with our Broncos cap on, I'm not jumping on the let's give Pete Carroll a great smash on the back because he's a great coach and what a great, you're still 7-7. You've got to still make the playoffs if you're going to start saying how well you've done other things.
Yeah. But he's this moment in time, certainly robbed the Broncos.
But they can have the if they want to
your Broncos.
If they want to reverse the deal, I'll authorise it for us to go back.
Yeah, I'm not sure there'll be too many players they would have him back if you listen to a lot of the fallout afterwards.
Moving on.
Seems a different character, doesn't he? Does Ross?
I don't mind.
Certainly
His
seems
crack.
different, doesn't he?
He's a bit wild, isn't he? He's a bit out there, but you know, if you look back at his
person.
If you look, no, he's not. I think he's a good enough guy. He's just different, isn't he? But if you look back at his time in Seattle, he was a good quarterback for a long time there, wasn't he?
He was, he was for them. Especially, third round pick. He was superb for Monday. So, third round pick, second round pick, one of the two. I think
Pacheco, McKinnon.
Right. Yeah. So the Seahawks run defense is absolutely garbage. So there's plenty to go around.
Fucking hell! I didn't know McKinnon. Jesus, that's a bit of a shock.
Well, yeah, he's right. The good thing, right? Pacheco is the back between the 20s. He's going to short yardage stuff. He's going to get lots of work there. McKinnon is the receiving back and is also the red zone back. When they get in the red zone, McKinnon comes on the field because the Chiefs do not run the ball in the red zone. They pass the ball in the red zone. Hence why McKinnon's on the field. So Pacheco is probably a low end running back 2, high end running back 3. McKinnon is probably a mid range running back 2. And obviously, as you can see from the last couple of weeks, he's got the potential to be the overall RB1 any given week. That's probably not going to continue, but they're both in good spots this week with the Seahawks. They go with the 4th most rushing yards and the 4th most receiving yards to running backs in the last 5 weeks. So the two of them, you can, if you have them, you can start the pair of them basically.
Yeah, I think we thought it was a similar sort of thing last week where they might blow out the Houston Texans and they might get a lot of late run plays, not necessarily go to overtime or whatever it was with them. So this might be a spot again at home, Seattle. If they can get a couple of scores up, they might give the running backs more work than you would normally see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thing is, the Chiefs' defense is pretty shit as well, especially the pass defense is pretty shit as well.
So it lets them back in.
And Gino's going to chuck it, as we've previously discussed. So. There's a chance this one could be a sneaky shootout. Another one, someone who I'm not keen on starting this week, be Brian Robinson, your mate. Anth, good job you're out of the playoffs.
Nobody's out of the playoffs if he's got Brian Robinson.
Yeah, so the 49ers run defense has only given up 804 yards to opposing RBs on the season. The next in line, there's the Titans. They've got 910 yards, so it's a pretty significant gap. The Commanders, the 7-point underdogs, so game script is probably going to be against Robinson in this game. It's probably going to be more of an Antonio Gibson game. He plays more passing down. He's involved more in the passing game. The 49ers, they do give up the 4th most targets to running backs. I think teams, because they can't really move the ball with running backs on the floor, they kind of use them in the screen game, try to manufacture some rushing yards that way. But even still, neither of them are solid players this week. Brian Robinson's definitely sit for me. And Gibson, he's a risky flex play, really. You kind of hoping the game script goes as it's projected to go, and then that they use him in the passing game, which isn't necessarily a given either.
It's a bit of a funny one, Brian Robinson. He gets a bit of bad press, I think. To me, he seems like he's not the fastest, is he? It's just all about grit, determination, and kind of strength with him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. There's no flash.
There's nothing flashy about him whatsoever.
No. And that was his profile coming out, eh? His profile coming out was one of these where, like an old-fashioned hard-nosed coach is going to love him because he's going to get exactly what's blocked for him. He's not going to put the ball on the ground. He's just going to be. He's one of these backs that's probably going to be in the league about 10 years because he's going to he's going to be reliable, but
just running into guys and then just keeps running into guys, keeps running into guys.
Yeah. But there's no flashy to him.
I don't think there's been a moment. I don't think there's been a moment yet where he's got clear as that. I can't remember any.
I don't think so.
None comes to mind. It's like what it is like Barry. He just gets the ball and he just grinds it through. And then sometimes it might take 5 of them to stop him.
Is he the new Frank Gore? Is he? That what I'm saying? He's gonna take his 4 or 5 yards to carry, hit the line hard, couple of yards after contact, down you go.
Yeah.
Repeat.
Pretty much.
Rinse, repeat.
Yeah.
I'm excited. Love it.
It just reminded me on there about that, but obviously we didn't have a pod last week, so we couldn't talk about it. But J.K. Dobbins,
I
think he got free, and it just didn't run like he normally runs, did he? And I follow him on Twitter. And he said he said, "Don't worry, I'm going to be back sprinting and whatever else." But it almost looked like he'd been shot.
Right, yeah. So he's obviously everyone saw that he's running with a dodgy gait kind of thing. And on that particular play, if he had his full explosiveness that he had pre-injury, he'd have been gone. They'd gone for a touchdown. But since he's come back, he's been superb. Especially in the short intermediate, like in the short running game, picking up extra yards where yards aren't there, kind of thing, and you can see that in his average per carry.
I was just saying, just look at those averages. They're 8 and 9 yards, and from visuals last week, he was running hard, wasn't he? He was stiff arming people, he was bursting tackles. Yes, he might not have that. Is it give someone the shoulder in a telephone box and I'm off because I'm rapid, but he's running. I think he's got a bit of a point to prove, hasn't he? It feels like he's got a chip on his shoulder, which again is quite good to see people playing with that attitude.
Yeah,
this 2020 season, he looked like a player, didn't he? And then he just seems to have bad luck with injuries and whatever
especially,
else.
Gus
the bus coming.
Well, Gus was always there. There, But the second half of his rookie season, he was really good, and it was just the two of them because remember at the start of his rookie season, they had Mark Ingram as well.
Yeah,
it was the three of them, and they ended up bidding Ingram off, and then it was just the Dobbins and Gus show. Basically, from the bye week, he got the usual bye week rookie bum, and then he was off to the races after that. He was. No, he was really, really good, and
the only
it kind of looked like he's back there. The only thing he's missing is that long speed.
I think the downside of this week is obviously he's still working his way back. He's got some, and they're a Saturday game rather than Sunday game, so he's had a day less to prep. He might not get as much volume as we would love to see it start cranking up this week, and he might get that the week after. I don't know.
Well, he's off the. He's off the injury report. He's not in the injury report this week, so
who's quarterbacking this week for the Ravens? Is that confirmed yet, or is that still in the balance?
No, Lamar was the DMP again today, and Huntley is questionable, so it's probably going to be Huntley.
Right,
it's probably going to be Huntley. Going back to Brian Robinson, Anth, and his longest run is 24 yards this year.
Yeah.
I think another one I've got on my sort of question mark list is the running back situation at the Bucs, isn't it? The Fournette White scenario. Even which one of them is going to get the lead. The Bengals shut down Chubb a couple of weeks ago, didn't they? They're quite a resolute. Run defense, I think. There's a lot of question marks over the Bucs generally that seem to be a bit all over the place. They're not ones that I'm looking to play this week if I've got better options.
Who are they against this week? I made a note.
Play the Bengals.
The Bucs play the Cardinals. Right.
Oh, the Cardinals.
Yes. Yeah, they played the Bengals.
Oh,
last
they played
week.
the Bengals last week. Okay, sorry,
Yeah.
the Cardinals. So maybe sorry, I've looked at the wrong fixture there.
Yeah, but I think you can probably play the pair of them this week.
Okay.
One, they're going to be heavy favourites because they're playing the Trace McSorley-led Cardinals.
Who?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean,
Does he work at the gift shop?
Anth had no chance of knowing who it was, but yeah, I thought you might have heard of him, Baz. But
Never heard. Trace McSorley, dear.
yeah, he was a fifth round draft pick. I think it was fifth round by the Ravens a few years ago.
He can't have had much time on the field, has he?
No, not at all. No. It's not good.
Where's Colt McCoy? What is he?
Concussion. He got concussed last week. He got a concussion last week. So So the Bucks are going to be heavy favourites against the Trace McSorley-led Cardinals, and then over the last 5 weeks, the Cardinals' run defense has given up 5.3 yards a carry. Third highest in the league.
Cardinals are a mess, aren't they? But the Bucks aren't particularly firing on a lot of different angles.
Well,
they seem to be a little bit.
I mean, we take the mick out of Lenny, and Rashard White has been pretty timid as a runner. He looks timid. He looks a bit scared sometimes. But last week against the Brett Rippon-led Broncos, so basically no threat of a passing game. There was no threat of a passing game. The Cardinals managed to give up 167 yards to Latavius Murray and Marlon Mack. So
good 1-2 punch that Blandy,
they were a pretty decent 1-2 punch back in 2017. I would have no concern about sticking these two in this week as running back to flex.
Good spots. Yeah. I think I must have looked at the wrong line when I was looking at that one, but yes, it's not a bad one.
Of course, we can help you. Choose who to start.
Oh, here we go.
That's what we're here for, isn't it?
That's what we're here for.
Give us your dilemma, Elias, and we'll give you the bad advice that you're looking for.
Yeah, we'll try not to fuck it up for you. Right. While we wait for Elias to get back to us, Anth, you can pull up the man with the most glorious hair and tash in the tight end position, and that's Greg Dulcich.
Get him on there.
Because we've got Russ back this week, which please God will be
fully fit. Russ, do you think, or he got flattened a bit the other week, didn't he?
Well, it was So it was. He cleared the concussion protocol last week, and he could have actually played, but they decided not to play him. It was absolutely sickening last week because they were playing the Cardinals, which is the best matchup for tight ends. And Dulcich was, he ran just about every route, played just about all the snaps, and they didn't throw him the ball. They decided to throw the ball to Eric Tomlinson, who is actually a real player. He played 6 snaps and caught the touchdown.
Eric Tomlinson.
Yeah, so absolutely. It sounds like a scrap merchant, doesn't it?
Sounds like he's running
a Labour governor, doesn't it?
See if you can stick him up, man. He might be another one with some hair. I think he looks like he's got a decent haircut on him.
Wow. They do some strange things, the Broncos.
I like him. That's a fucking tight end, that, isn't it?
Is that a picture of you, Anth, or is that a comment?
Looks like
he looks like a 19. He's a 1980s tight end, isn't he?
He's a fucking lineman, him. 6'6", 263 pounds. Fuck off.
Wow, you won't want to make him in the back of the gate, would you, Anth? Ask him for a beer.
No, fuck that.
Yeah, so the Broncos.
He's 18 and a half stone.
Of pure.
He's never a fucking tight end. Right, George Cook's coming first with a question. Asking for a friend's roster. Starting 2 RBs between Elliott Swift, Latavius Murray, and Rashard White.
I'd say Latavius Murray's probably out. For all the Rams' issues they have, the run defense is still
Decent enough.
serviceable. Yeah.
Swift, are we saying is our man, isn't he? I think out of them.
Yeah. Swift for sure, and probably Zeke. I'm not a Zeke man, as you well know.
You're not a fan. He's playing relatively well at the moment, isn't he?
In this, they've got him in this, split role with Pollard, and he's actually, to be fair to him, he's actually looked really good.
Yeah, he's playing well at the moment, yeah. And maybe that's helping Blandy, that bit of time off the field, come back in a bit fresher, a bit of extra burst in the legs. I think it's working.
Yes.
The tandem play is working for the team and the individuals.
It definitely is. Yeah. So they would be my two. Would be Swift and Elliott.
When it came up, I was Elliott and Swift. Again, Murray, because he had that good game, yes, it was against a poor rush D, but he's relatively capable against, again, the Rams might have a good defense, but they're not a great team, so it'll be a match in the balance.
George, tell your mate, tell your friend, Elliott and Swift. And for yourself, Eli, don't worry, we're going into you. And for myself, am I playing Burrow or Fields this week?
Bloody hell, that's a tough one.
I'm going to say Burrow. I would go Burrow. Who are you going, Anth?
Oh, I'm going to wait till Blandy goes.
Ah, you bottler.
What's all this bullshit about?
Oh.
Tell him what he's about. Tell him Elias, get in there, bottler. Joe Burrow for me. Again, playing well, talented quarterback. Fields, tough matchup, Buffalo. Yes, he might still get loads of runs with his legs, but if I'm putting my money down, I want it on a better talent. And I want
what's the weather like for the Bears Bills game? It was supposed to be bad, wasn't it?
Well, it looks like it could do. It looks like it was potentially improving, though. But I mean, you're not playing Justin Fields for his for what he's going to do through the air. You're playing for what he's going to do on the floor, right?
Yeah, but if the weather's bad, he's going to be running more.
Yeah,
grass as well. Proper grass as well at Soldier Field, Blandy.
Proper grass.
Or mainly mud.
Yeah, I think I play Fields in that spot, but it's a nice.
There you go, Anth. You've got the deciding vote now. You've backed yourself in the corner.
I'd personally keep an eye on the weather. If the weather looks like it's going to be bad, Fields is going to be running more. I'd go for Fields if the weather is going to be a factor. Okay. Personally, I think it's a good problem to have, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good. Some good options there. So well done.
Right, QB.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to tank you.
No,
I don't think either are going to tank you. So
Eric Tomlinson could be one of my favourite players in the NFL now. Just a side note. QB, I have Josh Allen and Justin Fields. Obviously going to play Josh Allen. Yeah, cheers. I need to start two RBs, two wide receivers, and a flex running back. I have Saquon and Mixon, who are must starts, and Treylon Burks potentially.
I think it's the one above that, isn't it? So he's saying he's got Kirk, Garrett Wilson, Donovan Peoples-Jones, AJ Dillons, Rashad White, and Darius Slayton. So we need. What do we need? How many do we need out of them? 2, 2, and 1.
I think we like Kirk and Garrett Wilson, don't we, this week?
Garrett Wilson's a nail, though, isn't he?
Yeah, DPJ no because of the weather.
So hang on. So we got.
Yeah,
let me just keep Tomlinson up there because I want to get back to that fucking handsome bastard. Garrett Wilson's a must start. We said Garrett Wilson's a must start, so we'll keep him up. DPJ no, AJ Dillon. Fuck my life. I can't trust AJ Dillon. What do you think, Blandy?
In this, it doesn't shape up to be a good matchup for him going up against Miami. Not that Miami have a great run defense, just they could quite easily put points upon this Packers team, and if they're forced to play from behind, passing the ball, it's more likely to be Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon that is involved in the passing game.
So we're cutting Dillon out. We've covered White and Slayton. We said Slayton could be.
Yes, I think we're saying. I think looking at them, we're saying Garrett Wilson is a definite. Kirk's probably next, and then Slayton's your flex.
Yes, I would have Burks above Slayton if Tannehill plays, but Tannehill's not going to play, which
he's not there,
means it means it's
Malik.
Yeah, it's going to be Malik Willis, and I've set the over and under at 13.5 pass attempts, and I think I'll probably go under.
So we're going Garrett Wilson.
So that means, Barry, it's not a chig week either.
No. Yeah, we're going Garrett Wilson, we're going Christian Kirk, and then we're going Darius Slayton.
Yeah, I think so.
Wilson, Kirk, Slayton.
Mm-hmm. They would be. DPJ. I don't think you can play because of what the weather looks like. It's going to be like there in Cleveland.
Hopefully you get the W, Elias. Come back next week. We'll give you some more bad advice for your next round of the playoffs.
Any more questions? Keep them coming. Do you have to be anywhere, Blandy?
No. I'm
Brazil,
grand.
Beamish.
No. We're all good.
It makes a change, doesn't it? Eh?
It does make a change, yeah.
I would have steamrolled my league if Breece Hall and Cup were still healthy.
Yeah.
Tell me about it, mate. I'd have been in the playoffs if I'd picked right fucking players.
If you'd have drafted better, Anth, you could have done better. What do we think? Just while we're just having a little bit of a downtime, if there's a few more late questions coming in on the Falcons running back game and Cordell Patterson and Algier, Andy, where are we at on that one? Is Algier had a decent week last week, didn't he? Patterson's touches seem to have gone by the wayside.
I always struggle with his spelling his name. What's his first?
Tyler.
A-double-L, isn't it?
Yeah, Tyler Algier. A-double-L-G.
Got him.
Algier looks to be, again, the lead of the committee.
He looks relatively decent, though, doesn't he? He looks quite powerful.
Well, I think it's one of them. It just took me a bit to click because to start the year he looked absolutely horrendous. He looked terrible. But in the last maybe 5 or 6 weeks, he's looked really, really good. And yeah, like you say, he's one of these ones where he gets tackled and then he drives the defender another 5 yards down the field. Yeah, Cordell has kind of fell off a bit. Even after he came back from his stint on IR with his knee injury, his playing time hasn't really increased. He's not used in the passing game.
Do you think there's something behind that? Do you think he's back off IR, but there's a niggle there? He's not quite 100%.
He's kind of at that age, isn't he?
He's 31. You're not making the playoffs. Do you let's tuck him away a little bit.
See what we've got with LG. Yeah. LG is definitely the one. Of the two of them, he's definitely the one.
Purple Cat in with the question: Zay Jones this week in full PPR. Is he going to cool off soon?
Right. Well, we spoke about this previously with Zay Jones, where he's the wide receiver 5 in scoring over the last 5 weeks, but that has come again. The defense, the 1, 3, 7, and 8 defense has given up points to wide receivers. Takes on the Jets this week. Sauce Gardner.
Will he get sauced or will he get moved away from the sauce?
Well, no. You see, Sauce only plays left-hand side of the field.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So if any time Zay Jones line up on the right-hand side of the field, then he's going to come up against Sauce. Yeah. The only the only time that sort really moves from the left-hand side of the field is in the red zone. They'll move him around a little bit there, but just in a neutral situation, he just plays his side. He doesn't shadow anyone. Doesn't do man to man that particular way with any wide receiver. He just sticks to the left hand side of the field.
Yeah.
So yes, I think Sir Jones this week will have a bit of a comeback down to earth.
Yeah, it'll cool off. Yeah, but it's a brave man who doesn't start as A. Jones this week, isn't it?
Yeah, like we said previously when we discussed this game, he's seeing 10 targets a game on average, so that's very hard to sit someone who's seeing 10 targets a game.
As a wise man once said to me, "Don't overthink it. Just play your best players." And
there's no chance you doing that, is there?
No.
I mean, I think if you look at, hopefully, we're saying he gets a good volume. He's got a nice matchup next week against Houston. Hopefully, he gets through this round and he's still live next week and he can slot him in. I don't think you need to worry too much about the cooling off as such. It's just he's got a tricky matchup. It always depends on what are your other options, because
you've got two good cornerbacks he's going to come up against this weekend. If there's going to be
if you've got crap on your bench, you have to roll the dice, don't you? If you've got a deep stack of receivers tucked away, then you might think I've got a better option elsewhere, and you might win, you might lose. But I think it's only relative to what you've got.
And then he's got the Texans and fucking the Titans after that. So it's just this week, isn't it? It's just going to be a lot of.
He's fighting with another question there, the purple cat. He's getting his 2 for 1.
Yeah. I've already pulled it up. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Mark Andrews or Goddard.
Now, this is a real tricky one in terms of, Andrews has had that great start of the season. It fell off a cliff. He hasn't got his mate Lamar chucking the ball anymore. He's going nowhere at the moment. I don't know what Goddard's fitness is like. So, Blandy, you can come in a little bit more on what Goddard.
Goddard would have played last week if it was an important game. The only reason he didn't play was because they had an eye on this game and they want to keep him fresh for it.
And this is an important game for him, isn't it? Cowboys game away.
But obviously, it looks like Jalen Hurts isn't going to be playing.
So you're going to have Gardner in.
You're going to have Gardner in, but can you
that might not hurt Goddard though.
Scroll back to last year, Anth. So just in Goddard there. Scroll down. Okay, so week 13 against the Jets there. Gardner Minshew was the quarterback in that game. So there's definitely chemistry there between the two of them.
Yeah, and also when a QB is not necessarily in a rhythm, those short throws into tight ends in the middle of the field who can get themselves open and mix them together to catch are quite easier, appealing throws to. So Hurts isn't going to be running. We haven't got Hurts to run. Minshew's not going to run as much. I think Goddard could see a little bit of an uptick personally on his own game through Minshew playing. So I think again, if Goddard is fit like Blandy says and have just saved him somewhat for this game, I think he's the player.
I like that angle. I like that angle of a tight end being like a safety valve. I like that angle.
Yeah.
You often see it a lot with rookie QBs, don't you?
Yeah.
It's a tough matchup. Like the Cowboys are pretty good against tight ends. It's a tough matchup, but
they're in a bit of a the Cowboys in a bit of a sticky run of form at the moment. They looked terrible against the Texans the other week, didn't they? They got mugged off by the Jags after being 3 scores up. As much as they're a good defense, they're giving up some points and they're not playing well.
They're not a good defense. Their secondary is absolutely in bits. That's the thing. That they've got loads of injuries in the secondary. They're not a good defense.
But they get hyped as a good defense, don't they?
Yeah. When they're all fit and healthy, I don't think Parsons is fully healthy either. I think there's problems with him as well with his health. So no, they're definitely susceptible through the army. The guy who got torched on the 57-yard touchdown to Zay Jones last week.
Yeah.
Joseph, can't remember what his first name is. Joseph. Anyway, he got benched after that play.
He wears number 1 as well, doesn't he?
Does he?
He's got shirt number 1.
The down bodies, and then the bench and starters through bad play basically as well. So no, they've got a lot of problems on the back end.
So are we going Goddard with a little bit of?
Yeah, I think so. Just purely because
Kelvin Joseph, number 1 for the Cowboys.
That's him, yes, Kelvin Joseph. Yeah. I think I'd probably go Goddard over Andrews purely because that Ravens team just looks bad.
Yeah, I wouldn't touch him with a badge, Paul, at the minute.
No. Hopefully that's the good play for your purple cat there.
Yeah. Yeah, I got it as well. For what it's worth.
Come back and let us know.
Please subscribe if you haven't already.
Absolutely, makes a big difference.
On to keep the questions coming. By the way, if anyone's got questions, keep them coming while we just trunter on about other shite that no one's bothered about.
Are we going to move on to our own fantasy league or some?
We are, mate. Yeah, I'm just doing it now.
We need to because Anth's got big problems in his team.
I was just looking at it. I was looking at it there, Blandy. I've got some questions for you.
Make sure you like and subscribe if you want to ask a question.
What's going on? No problem, Purple Cat. We're back next week. Christmas Day, whatever.
Tune in next week. Don't tune in on Christmas Day. We won't be here.
Right, so let me catch this. So this, for anyone watching, this is the Fantasy Front Office Redraft League, and we cover it every week. So the Fantasy Front Office team is obviously this one here, and we have Jalen Hurts in his quarterback, and as we discussed, it doesn't look like he's going to play. Now, it wouldn't be a big deal if we had another quarterback on our bench.
You mean you've got to be carrying 2 quarterbacks, haven't you, if you've got any sense?
We haven't got a quarterback.
There's plenty of options on waivers, though, so we're grand.
Let's have a look, eh? Oh, Purdy's there.
Get Russ. Zachary Zach.
We've got Purdy, aren't we?
You're absolutely blessed with options there.
No.
What was the Cardinals quarterback called, Randy?
Is
he available?
I imagine it. I tell you what. I've in another league. I've made the playoffs. I've got Jalen Hurts at quarterback. I've got Kyler Murray at quarterback, and I've got Mike White at quarterback.
Oh.
I've picked it's obviously it's a super flex league. The only player on waivers is Trace McSorley.
Get in there. I hope he has a bladder.
I've had to pick up and play in the semi-finals of the playoffs. Trace McSorley at quarterback.
I like it.
Yeah. Though I think we'd probably just pick up Aaron Rodgers, Anth, to be honest with you. The Miami secondary's not special.
I play from behind.
Yeah, it certainly looks like it's going to be a more of a passing script for them. So I would say we'd probably pick up Rodgers here.
You've got a formidable opponent though in T.Y. Wake 7, haven't you?
We do, yeah.
Who we dropping this Pierre Strong?
Yes, yeah, we can drop Pierre Strong. Yeah, we can drop him. And then I think we might need to address tight end as well, Anthony.
Because we've got the frame off.
Yeah, but he's played injured. It's pretty obvious.
Full practice this week, today.
Was he?
Probably so.
Was he a full practice last week as well? Then let me have a check. Logs full practice. Blank. Not targeted. Yeah, he wasn't listed on the injury report last week.
I think there's something untoward there under the surface.
Yeah, and you can, if you look at his snaps as well, for about the last 4 weeks, he's basically gone down to being a part-time, and I don't know why it is, because he's quite clearly the second best receiving option on that team. So you might need to address this spot as well. At least have a look to see what you can pick up. And who's there?
Conklin. Likely.
It's unlikely that
Bellinger's there. Bellinger's there.
We didn't want to play Mark Andrews. We're certainly not playing the tight end 2 in that offense, are we?
Bellinger's there, isn't he?
Okay, Don.
I tell you who might be a sneaky pickup, Anthony.
I'm listening.
It's Jordan Aikens of the Houston Texans.
What about, just in general, what about Brock Wright? We never covered him on the Detroit Lions. He got 2 targets, dropped 1, then ran 1 for 50-yard touchdown.
Yeah, I think we've discussed him enough. I mean, it was a broken play, wasn't it? The touchdown he scored. I mean, he was miles open. There wasn't anyone
hurdling there, didn't he? He looked like
a little hurdling.
He got a nice little big rumbling lad down the field. I like the look of him.
Yeah.
I tell you what, it's a brave man who picks up Jordan Aikens in the playoffs.
Go for it.
I mean, we've just seen.
Oh, what was that? What was that guy's name?
Oh, your Bronco.
We're not picking up Eric Tomlinson.
Get him in. It's a brave man who doesn't pick up Eric Tomlinson with that profile picture. If you don't, someone else will.
I can't even spell his fucking name. Look at him. Can we pick him up?
Yeah, go for it. Why not?
Why he's playing the Chargers?
11.8 points last week. Absolute lock.
6'6". He's fucking 18 stone.
He's a wrecking ball of a man.
He must be the fucking biggest tight end ever, him.
Oh, man. Look at Donald Parham.
What about Morley Cox? He's a unit as well, isn't he?
Donald Parham. There you go.
6'8", but look at the weight. Look at the weight diff.
Stick Ali Cox on there as well.
Look at the weight diff there.
Big Mo. Yeah, he's another one of the Parham role. Mo Ali Cox.
Do put in ALLIE. See what comes up on that. No.
Just put Mo. Mo here.
There you go.
Oh yeah, big unit. Oh bloody hell, aye.
He's a former college basketball player. Him.
Yeah, he was. A few of them were right. A few tight ends of basketball. I think is it Vernon Davis. Vernon Davis still was obviously one of the best tight ends for a long time. He was a basketball. I don't think he ever played football until he was in college or high school or something.
Transferable skill set. Eh?
There was an NFL coach. The NFL coach was sat next to him on the bench in the basketball game, and then says, "Oh, you should think about playing American football." You. So he went along, had a try out, and then I think he ended up being a first-round pick.
Do we want to go?
I tell you what, I bet Eric does a good fucking barbecue, doesn't he?
Oh yes, mean steak and shrimp combo there.
Oh, he'll have ribs. Fucking it'd be fantastic.
How is he 30-year-old? He looks older than me, and I'm 40. And a fucking paper round.
He's my fucking favourite player going forward now. Like, bets of the week, eh?
Go on then.
Eric Tomlinson.
I'm itching to get on with the bets of the week. I'm definitely taking the Lions. The hottest team in football, the Lions. 2.5 points.
Get ready, everyone. Get ready, everyone. Get your pens and papers out for the bets of the week.
This is how you lose money.
And I forgot what my other one was now. I was going to go.
Hang on.
Yeah, no again. Yeah.
We're going Lions to overturn the spread on, what's that, 2.5?
Yeah,
Minus
2.5.
2.5, yeah.
Away at Carolina, steamroll them, win by 10.
Banker of the week. Go on, yeah. Next one.
Don't put your mortgage down the Building Society, go down the bookies and get it on the Lions.
Get your stamp.
The next one I'm going to go for is the Titans against the Texans. I know the Texans have been plucky, but I think this is a good spot for the Titans, and I think they'll just pound Henry Warner, and we'll see if the Texans can stop him. I'm not sure they can. So
they usually give up. They usually give up over 200 yards to Henry, don't they?
Yeah, so I think he's gonna shred him this week.
Texans are getting back there, like.
Yeah, it might be the quarterback situation with the Titans.
It is. That's exactly what it is.
And I think the other one, I'm looking at Miami -4 at home to Green Bay. I think that's a good spot for them. Again, they've had a couple of tough matchups, haven't they, recently? They've come up short, but I think they're back at home. 4 points to cover that. So Lions and the Titans, Lions and the Dolphins. If you want to be adventurous, go for all three.
Okay, so my one is the Bengals.
Oh, good, yeah.
Covering the spread against the Patriots. I think this should be closer to a touchdown than a field goal. Don't really understand the movement towards New England. This New England offense is absolutely broken, and the Bengals, I believe at the moment, are probably the best team in the league at the minute. Playing like the best team in the league. And it looks like they're going to get Trey Hendrickson back this week.
Nice.
On defense, which will be
nice.
will be a good boost for them. And then the other one is going to be the over 48 in the Vikings Giants game.
I think we'll have to have a mince pie on that one, Blandy. I'll go under.
Yeah, no bother at all. No bother at all. I see your. I can certainly see the argument. What you're saying about the Giants and that. I just think this Vikings defense is absolutely abysmal.
Rancid.
Rancid, as I like to say. And the Vikings, definitely pull up points. So I'm definitely getting points off one side.
Okay.
I just need the Giants to uphold their end of the bargain.
Anything for you, Anth? Anything?
Yeah. So my bet of the week is Eric Tomlinson to
Eric Tomlinson to sit at home with a turkey leg in his hand on Sunday.
My bet of the week is Eric Tomlinson to score 2 or more touchdowns. There you go.
Yeah.
I'm going to back this right now just in case it fucking happens. On the no.
Another one that I would contemplate taking as well is the Seahawks plus 10 against
10
against the Chiefs. The Chiefs.
They struggle to cover that big spreads, don't they?
They do, yeah. They're 4-10 against the spread this year of the Chiefs.
We've had a few big handicaps recently, haven't we? I don't think many of them covered, haven't we? There will have been a big handicap against the Texans. The Bills have let a few big handicaps not win by that much, haven't they? So I think those 10, 13, 15 points, I think probably the Cowboys. What were the Cowboys against the Texans? They 15 or something.
17. And
they lost the match, never mind cover the spread. So these big handicaps aren't getting covered by a lot of teams, are they?
No, they're not. So I'd be taking the 10 points there with the Seahawks. I think.
Good stuff.
2 hours and 23 minutes in.
Yeah.
Flown over.
Absolute fucking waffle.
Thank you for all your questions. Thank you for all your views. When are we going to be back on? So is Red Zone on Saturday night then?
It is on Saturday night, Anthony.
You there?
So that's Christmas Eve.
Sorry. Tell the missus now. Cancel your plans on watching Red Zone.
Yeah. That's sorted. I think my mum's coming round, so she'll be in for a shock.
What's the map? Does the map like red zone or not?
She's got no choice now. And then we'll be back after, in between Christmas and New Year.
Yeah, I go back to Brazil on the 27th.
What day of the week's that? It's Wednesday.
That is a
Tuesday. So that's the day after Boxing Day.
It is.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see what people's schedules are like and how where we're at.
Well, once I'm back at work, I can pretty much fit these in any time. So
Do what you want.
Yeah. It. Any jobs going?
Maybe.
Let's get all three of us on the rig. Right, anyway, lads, I enjoyed it. Thanks for viewing. Please like, share, and subscribe. Have a nice Christmas.
I'm already subscribed, but yes, enjoy your Christmas.
Lovely Christmas.
See you afterwards.
Goodbye.
Ciao, ciao.
Just remember, it's all about Jesus Christ. Goodbye.